You have been sleeping differently these last few nights, and you know it. Something in you has started behaving the way a person behaves on the final evening of a long journey, folding things, closing things, listening for a sound it cannot name. Chosen one, I want to say this slowly, because you have waited years to hear it. Sometime in the last several days, you caught yourself standing completely still in the middle of an ordinary moment, in the kitchen, in the car, in the shower, and you felt something you were almost afraid to admit. It felt like an ending, not a collapse. An ending. You did not tell anyone, because there was nothing to point to. The circumstances looked the same. The problem is still sitting where it has always been sitting, and yet some quiet instrument inside you keeps insisting that this long season is in its final hours, the way winter smells different on the exact day it begins losing to spring. I am here to tell you that the instrument is not broken, and I am here to tell you something stranger, something that may take this entire message to hold. The reason this thing ends now, the reason it did not end last year, and could not end last year, is you, not your failure, your position. There is a difference, and that difference will change how you sleep tonight. Heaven keeps a particular name for a person, standing exactly where you are standing, the person appointed to the last hour of a long assignment. It is not chosen one. It is more precise than that. I will speak that name over you before this message closes, and when you hear it, the last several years of your life will rearrange themselves in front of you like furniture finally set in its right place. Before that name arrives, 3 things will happen here. First, you will understand why every ending you sensed before this one kept dissolving into another year of the same, and why that was never evidence against you. Second, you will feel an actual weight leave the center of your chest, and you will notice the exact paragraph where it happens. Third, you will be given one small thing to do tonight, with nothing but your own breath, that marks the line between carrying this into another season and setting it down for good. Understanding, feeling, doing. All 3 are coming, and they are coming in that order. Now let me be honest with you before we go one step further, because you have been lied to by urgency before. I cannot tell you what the mail brings tomorrow. I cannot promise a phone call, a check, a diagnosis reversed by morning. Anyone who promises you dated miracles is selling you their own imagination. But there is a kind of tomorrow that is more real than the mail, and by the end of this message, you will see it clearly. There is a threshold with your name on it, and it is closer than your fear has let you believe. Tomorrow is not a prediction here. It is an appointment, and appointments are kept by people, not by calendars. Let me prove to you that I know you right now, in the first minutes, so you can decide whether this message is actually yours. Here is something you have never said out loud. When good news gets close to you, you flinch. When the phone rings with a number that might finally be the answer, your stomach drops before your hope rises. When someone says, "This could be the one," something in you goes quiet and starts preparing for the fall before the door has even opened. You have watched other people receive good news with open faces, and you have wondered what happened to yours. You call it being realistic. You call it protecting yourself. At night, you have worse names for it. You have explained this flinch to yourself as damage, proof that the waiting broke something in you, that you are no longer capable of clean hope, that even if the answer came, you might be too worn to enjoy it. I need you to hear this plainly. That explanation is wrong. What if the flinch is not a scar? What if it is a reading? There is a reason the ending you keep sensing has kept moving away from you. And the reason is not that your senses are broken. It has to do with how this road was built, with something measured into it before you ever set foot on it. I am going to open that fully in a few minutes, and when I do, years of your life will make sense in a single motion. For now, hold just this much of it. A person whose hope instrument was truly dead would feel nothing when the phone rings. No drop, no flinch, no bracing. The very fact that something in you still reacts near thresholds means the part of you that reads roads is alive and working. Instruments only tremble near the thing they were built to detect. So before we go deeper, I am going to ask you to do something, and I am asking you to do it before your mind can argue. Go to the comments and write 3 words. It ends tomorrow. Not because a sentence in a comment box changes the sky, because a person who writes a thing down has stopped merely overhearing it and has started answering it. It ends tomorrow. Write it as an answer. And now, let us find out if you are truly the one this message was measured for. Because there are signs, chosen one, specific ones, not the vague signs that fit anyone who has ever had a hard week, but narrow ones, the kind that make your skin prickle because you thought no one had seen you. There are 5. If even 3 of them are yours, then the name I am carrying at the end of this message belongs to you. Some of what is coming will be tender. Some of it will feel like standing in a doorway with wind moving past you in one direction, out of an old room. Stay with me. The people who leave long messages early are almost always the ones standing closest to their own threshold, because the nearness itself is uncomfortable. That discomfort you feel right now is not a reason to go. It is the 5th sign, and I will explain it when we get there. Here is the 1st sign. In recent weeks you have been waking in the small hours, somewhere between 3 and 4 in the morning, and it has not felt like your old anxiety. The old waking was a jolt, a racing heart, a mind already rehearsing disasters. This waking is different. You surface into a strange alertness, calm and clear, as if someone had quietly said your name once and then waited. You lie there feeling summoned rather than hunted. Sometimes you even feel faintly embarrassed by how peaceful it is, given everything that is still unresolved in your life. That specific quality of waking, alert without alarm, is the 1st sign. It is the waking of a person being briefed before a transfer, not a person being tormented by one more night of the same. Here is the 2nd sign. Your hands have started finishing things. Almost without deciding to, you have been clearing drawers, deleting old messages, paying off small forgotten debts, returning borrowed things, saying the small apology you carried for years. From the outside, it looks like tidying. It is not tidying. It is the body of a traveler packing light before a border. Watch yourself this week, and you will see it. A quiet compulsion to close open loops, to leave nothing dangling behind you. Nobody taught you to do this. Something in you knows that people cross thresholds carrying less than they carried on the road. Here is the 3rd sign. Old seasons of your life have been replaying lately, vivid and unbidden. A classroom smell, a street you lived on, the exact voice of someone long gone. And here is the narrow part. They have not been arriving as regret. They arrive more like review, the way a film of the whole road might play for a person, because the road itself is about to end. You have caught yourself watching your own past with a tenderness that surprised you, as if you were already becoming the one who looks back on this from the other side. Memory behaves differently near an ending. It stops prosecuting and starts archiving. If your memory has changed its posture toward you, that is the 3rd sign. Here is the 4th sign. Tears have been arriving at strange, small triggers. Not at the big, painful things, you have long been armored there, but at a certain song, at light moving across a wall, at the sight of a child concentrating. The tears come braided, grief and relief in the same thread, and they pass through you in under a minute and leave you cleaner. That braid is specific. It is the feeling of a soul already saying goodbye to a weight it has carried so long that the goodbye itself is a kind of grief. People weep like that at the end of long labors, not in the middle of them. If you have been leaking light at odd moments, that is the fourth sign. And here is the fifth sign, the one I promised to explain. Underneath your fear, and I know the fear is real, there is a flaw, a strange steadiness that has no business being there given your circumstances. People around you may currently be louder about your situation than you are. They panic on your behalf, and you find yourself comforting them. And you wonder why the drowning person is consoling the lifeguards. That steadiness is not denial, and it is not numbness. It is weight distribution. Something in you has already shifted its footing for what is coming, the way a sailor widens his stance before the wave he feels through the deck, long before anyone sees water move. The discomfort you felt a few minutes ago, the urge to click away from this message, comes from the same place. Nearness is uncomfortable. Only people near the door feel the draft. If 3 or more of these are yours, then stay, because everything from here is addressed to you by name. And if the Father were to bend low over your bed tonight, into that clear waking hour between 3 and 4, I believe he would say something like this: "My child, you did not imagine the ending. You heard it coming because I let you hear it. I do not sharpen the hearing of my children for things that are not real. You sensed it early because you were appointed to finish it, and the one who finishes a thing must hear it coming before anyone else does. Rest now. You were never late. You were placed." Sit with that for a moment while I open the first door of this message, because now we have to face the question that has bruised you for years, the one you stopped saying out loud. Why did every ending you sensed before this one dissolve? You felt it 2 years in, you were sure of it. You felt it again later, told someone, maybe even celebrated early. And then nothing changed, and the nothing felt like mockery. So now, when the sense of ending comes, shame comes with it. You have learned to distrust your own antenna. You tell yourself you hear what you want to hear. Some nights you go further and conclude that the silence is the answer, that heaven watched you hope and let you fall, and that a person of your history has no business feeling what you felt this week in the kitchen. That is the wound under everything, and we are going to lance it right now. The explanation you have settled on is that your discernment is broken. Too many false dawns, so the instrument must be faulty. I want to dismantle that explanation completely, because it has cost you more than the waiting itself. The problem was never your instrument. The problem was the map you were told to read it against. Consider what actually breaks people who wait. It is not duration. Human beings have carried staggering weights for decades when they knew the distance. Prisoners scratch days into walls because a counted day is a carryable day. What breaks people is not long time. It is unmarked time. The mind reads a road without markers as an infinite road, and no soul was built to walk an infinite road. Your exhaustion was never weakness. It was arithmetic. Now hear the other half. Heaven does not issue unmarked roads. Look at the pattern across every sacred account. 40 days of rain, not rain without end. 70 years appointed to an exile, not an exile left open. 7 circuits around a fortified city, not circling forever until further notice. The lengths are set before the first step. The one walking almost never knows the number. But there has always been a number. There is a name I want to give this, so you can carry it out of here as a tool and not just a comfort. The measured road. Your long ordeal was never an open sentence being extended year by year, while heaven looked away. It was a measured road, its length fixed before your first step onto it, its end already surveyed while you were still learning to survive its beginning. And here is what a measured road does to a sensitive traveler. It produces exactly the experience that shamed you. On a measured road, the sense of nearing comes more than once, because you were nearing. Every time you felt the end and the end did not come, you were not wrong. You were passing a marker. The feeling was accurate the way a milestone is accurate. It never said arrived. It said closer, and closer was true every single time. So take those false dawns out of the file marked evidence of my brokenness and put them in the file where they always belonged. You were not wandering in circles, hearing phantom bells. You were traveling a counted distance, and the bells were real, and each one was nearer than the last. The years did not mock you. They measured you forward. There is a difference between being lost and being far along, and you have spent a decade calling yourself lost when you were only far along. Which brings us to tonight, and to the one shift I can hand you right now. Stop asking the question that has run your inner life for years. The question, will it ever end? On a measured road, that question has no work left to do. Replace it tonight with the question that belongs to the last stretch. What does the final mile ask of me? Say the first half out loud before you sleep. This road has a length, and I am near the end of it. Feel what just moved in your chest when you read that sentence. That small vertigo, that loosening behind the sternum. Mark it. That is the first stone coming off the pile, and it will not be the last one tonight. If that sentence found you, go down to the comments and write 4 words. I am the reason. You do not have to understand yet everything those words will come to mean by the end of this message. Write them the way you would sign for a package you have not yet opened. Because here is where I have to tell you something that changes the shape of everything you just learned. The measured road explains the years behind you. It does not yet explain the wall in front of you. The strange fact that the last stretch, the one you are in right now, has felt harder than entire years that came before it. There is a reason for that too, and it is older than you, and it has a 7th circuit in it. But before I take you to that 7th circuit, I have to place one more piece on the table, and I am going to place it face down for now. While you have been reading this road with your spirit, something else has been happening in your body, working quietly against you the entire time. Not sin, not weakness, not a curse. Something physical, something with an address. For most of your adult life, there has been a kind of drag on the inside of your effort, a resistance you could never point to. You would decide to change, and the decision would be real, and within days you would find yourself back in the old grooves, wondering where your strength went. You blamed your character. You should not have. Researchers found this thing. They did not go looking for anything spiritual, and what they found is not spiritual. It is measurable, and it explains why the strongest seasons of your intention kept producing the weakest results. It also explains something stranger, why the final stretch of a measured road feels steepest to people who were once the quickest children in the room. I am not going to name it yet, because you do not yet have the frame that makes the name matter. But I promise you this. Before this message reaches its final act, I will turn that card over, and when I do, you will understand that you have been climbing this whole mountain with a pack you never agreed to carry. Hold the corner of that card. We will come back for it. Now, the 7th circuit begins with a word, and the word is Greek, and I want to teach it to you properly, because once you have it, you will never read your own life the same way again. The Greeks had 2 words for time, and the tragedy of the modern world is that we inherited only one of them. The first word is chronos. Chronos is sequence, minutes, calendars, clocks, the tick of one thing after another. Chronos is quantity, time you can count and spend and waste and lose. Every anxiety you have ever had about time was an anxiety about chronos. How long has it been? How long is left? How old am I now? Chronos is the water the fish of this age swim in, and it is the only time your phone knows. The second word is kairos. Kairos is not a quantity of time at all. Kairos is the appointed moment, the opening, the instant in which the quality of time itself changes and a thing becomes possible that was not possible one breath earlier and will not be possible one breath later. Chronos asks, how long? Kairos asks, when, and it means a when that was chosen. The old Greek archers used kairos for the exact opening through which an arrow had to pass to reach its mark. The weavers used it for the single moment when the threads stood apart and the shuttle could cross. Do you see the picture inside the word? Kairos is a gap that opens in the fabric of things, briefly, on purpose, and the whole craft is to be ready when it stands open. When the ancient writers said that in the fullness of time God acted, the word underneath is kairos, not when enough chronos had piled up, when the appointed opening arrived. And here is the sentence I want to write on the inside of your ribs. Your ordeal has been lived in chronos, but it does not end in chronos. It ends in a kairos. It does not run out like sand. It opens like a door. This is why every previous ending dissolved. And I want you to feel how cleanly this closes the wound we lanced a few minutes ago. You kept looking for the ending, the way one looks for the bottom of an hourglass, waiting for enough time to pass. But measured roads do not end when time is used up. They end when the appointed opening and the appointed person arrive at the same point together. The markers you kept sensing were real markers, but a marker is chronos information. It says, you are closer. The door itself is kairos, and a kairos has a property that no amount of waiting can substitute for. A kairos requires someone to step through it. It is not observed like a sunset. It is seized like a gap in the threads. Sunsets happen to everyone. Doors only open for the ones who walk at them. Stay very still for this next part, because this is where the title of this message stops being poetry and becomes mechanics. If the ending of your ordeal were a chronos event, like a kettle finally boiling, then you would be irrelevant to it. You could sleep through it. It would happen at you. And in that world, the message that you are the reason it ends would just be flattery. But if the ending is a kairos, an appointed opening that requires the appointed person to move through it, then the last variable in the whole equation is not the calendar. It is you. Heaven can measure the road, mark the miles, swing the door, and still the ending waits, patient as held breath, for one thing only, the arrival of the one it was measured for, walking, not watching. That is what was meant when it was said over you that you are the reason it ends, not that you are to blame for its length. Blame is a chronos idea, all arithmetic and fault. You are the reason the way a key is the reason a lock opens. The corridor was never going to end by getting longer. It ends because the one carrying the key finally stands in front of the right door, and chosen one. The door is the part of the corridor you are standing in now. I know what your mind is doing with this, because minds are faithful guards. It is asking, quietly, then why does this part hurt the most? If I am at the door, if the road is nearly done, why have these last months felt heavier than whole years did? Why am I weaker at the end than I was at the beginning? Surely nearness should feel like relief, like the last easy coast downhill. That question is not a doubt. That question is the next mile of this message. Because there is a law about last miles, and nobody teaches it to us, and for lack of it, more people abandon their measured roads in the final stretch than in all the early years combined. They quit inside sight of walls they had already circled the required number of times, and they never learn how close they stood. You are not going to be one of them. To make sure of it, I need to take you to a fortified city a long time ago on a morning that looked exactly like failure. Picture Jericho as the people who walked toward it actually saw it. Not a story flattened by familiarity, but a real wall on a real plain, high enough to blot the morning sun, thick enough that houses were built inside its width. The people looking up at it had been walking for 40 years. An entire generation had died on the road behind them, and the first thing their promised land showed them was the one thing they could not climb. The instruction they received made no military sense at all. Walk around it, once a day, in silence, for 6 days. No ladders, no siege engines, no shouted demands. Just the same unglamorous circuit, sandals in dust, priests and people around the whole immovable thing, and then back to the tents to sleep and do it again. Now put your body inside that week, because your last several months have been that week. Day 1, you can imagine the freshness, the sense of ceremony. Day 2, the questions start. Day 3, the wall looks exactly as it looked on day 1, not one stone loosened, and the people inside it have begun to watch from the top, and some of them are laughing. Day 4, your legs know the route without you. Day 5, the silence you were commanded to keep starts to feel less like reverence and more like having nothing to say. Day 6, you complete the circuit and stand where you started and stare at that unchanged wall. And somewhere behind your ribs, a voice says the thing it has been saving all week. Nothing is happening. Nothing has ever been happening. Hold that day 6 feeling, because I want to name what it actually was. On day 6, the people were one day from one of the most famous endings in all of recorded faith. One day, and they possessed not one shred of evidence for it. Every visible fact, the height of the stones, the mockery from the ramparts, the sameness of the route, testified that the whole exercise was madness. The eve of the collapse was the day the collapse felt least possible. And then the 7th day came, and it did not begin with thunder. It began with the same sandals and the same dust. But on that day the circuit was walked not once, but 7 times. And on the 7th circuit of the 7th day, at the appointed shout, the wall that had ignored 6 days of obedience came down all at once. So completely that the accounts say it fell beneath itself, flat, like a thing whose foundations had simply been unplugged. Here is what I need you to see in that. The 7th circuit looked identical to the 6 that changed nothing. Identical route, identical dust, identical wall. If you had photographed Circuit 6 and Circuit 7, you could not have told them apart. The difference between futility and history was not visible in the act itself. It was sealed inside the count, and only heaven had the count. There is a name for this, and it is the second tool I am giving you to carry out of here. The 7th circuit. The 7th circuit is the lap that looks redundant and is actually the trigger. It is the act of faithfulness that has been repeated so many times without result that repeating it feels like self-mockery. And it is precisely that act, done one more time, that the appointed ending has been fastened to. Now let us bring this home to the question your mind asked a few minutes ago, the honest one. Why does the last stretch feel heavier than all the years before it? You are not imagining the weight. There are real reasons, and they live in the actual architecture of the human soul, and none of them are the reason you feared. Here is the first reason, the self you built to survive this long ordeal, the vigilant one, the braced one, the one who learned to expect the fall. That self can feel its own ending approaching inside yours. An identity fights hardest in the hour it is about to become unnecessary. The resistance you feel is not your future pushing you away. It is your past refusing to retire. The heaviness near the door is the old survivor gripping the frame. Here is the second reason. For years, your body has been holding its exhaustion in escrow because full feeling was a luxury, the emergency could not afford. But bodies are wise, and when the deep systems sense that the long emergency is genuinely closing, they begin releasing the account. The tiredness that has soaked you these recent months is not new damage arriving. It is old damage finally being allowed to leave. You are not breaking down at the end of the road. You are thawing. And here is the third reason, the one that rearranges everything. Distance from a wall changes nothing about the wall, but nearness changes everything about the walker. On day one, hope costs nothing, because the test is far away. On day 6, hope costs everything, because if you hope now and the wall stands anyway, you have no farther back to fall. The last mile is the heaviest, because it is the only mile where hope has become expensive. The weight you feel is the price tag of a hope that finally matters. So take the heaviness of your recent months and reread it right now, in front of me. It is not decline. It is not proof that you have gotten weaker or that the road has gotten crueler. It is proximity. Nothing about your circumstances got heavier. You got closer, and close is where the scales finally tell the truth. The exhaustion of day 6 is not the opposite of the miracle of day 7. It is the address of it, which means the assignment of this exact season of your life is almost insultingly simple. And I say almost because simple and easy are different countries. Walk the circuit anyway. Do the ordinary faithful thing one more time, the prayer that feels worn out, the discipline that feels pointless, the kindness that feels unseen, knowing now what you did not know last week. On a measured road, the count is real even when the wall pretends not to feel it, especially then. You do not have to feel powerful while you do it. The people on the 7th Circuit had tired legs and dusty sandals and no evidence. Feelings are weather on the last mile. The count does not check the weather. Every circuit you have already walked is banked, none of them spilled, and the number remaining is smaller than it has ever been. Heaven does not round that down because you cried on the route. If something in you just stood up straighter, do one small thing before we go on. Find the small symbol under this message, shaped like approval, and press it, not for me, but as a record that on this day, this far into your long walk, you decided the circuit was worth one more lap. Small acts of declaration matter on day 6. They are how the soul signs its own count. And now I have to tell you about the strangest feature of the last mile, the one that has almost taken you out twice this year already. Because there is a specific day on the measured road that is more dangerous than every other day combined. It is not the hardest day. It is the most convincing one. It has a face it wears, and I want to show you that face slowly, so that when it looks at you again, and it will, likely very soon, you will recognize it and walk straight through it. Somewhere in the last few months you came closer to quitting than you have ever told anyone. Maybe it was a night in the Nansar after everyone else was asleep. Maybe it was a morning where you sat on the edge of the bed and could not find one reason to stand up that you had not already used up. And the thought that came was not dramatic. It was quiet and reasonable, and that is what made it dangerous. The thought said something like this: maybe none of it was real. Maybe the sense of calling, the promises you clung to, the whole long walk, was just a story you told yourself to survive, and a stronger person would have admitted it years ago and built a smaller, sadder, more sensible life. The thought did not shout. It sounded like math. And you almost agreed with it. You have explained that night to yourself as your lowest point, as proof of how far you had fallen, maybe even as the moment your faith failed. I want to hold that explanation up to the light and show you what it is actually made of, because you have been reading your worst night with the wrong dictionary. That night was not a verdict. It was a location. Here is the mechanism, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Breakthrough gives no advance notice. None. That is not poetry. It is structure. Deep change accumulates invisibly, below the waterline, the way a frozen lake keeps absorbing warmth for weeks while its surface stays hard enough to walk on. Then one afternoon, with a sound like a rifle, the whole sheet lets go at once. The surface is always the last to know, which produces a strange and brutal law. The day before the wall falls looks exactly like every day. The wall did not fall. Exactly. Circuit 6, remember, was photographically identical to Circuit 7. There is no glow on the horizon the evening before, no orchestral swell, no kindly sign that says almost. The road is measured, the count is nearly full, and the scenery says nothing has ever worked and nothing ever will. This is the third tool, and of the 5 I will hand you tonight, this is the one that will save you soonest. The identical day. The identical day is the day before an appointed ending, indistinguishable on its surface from all the barren days before it, and therefore the single most dangerous day on the entire measured road. Not the hardest, the most convincing. It is the only day where despair can present a complete, airtight, fully documented case. Because think about what despair could show you on that day. It could show you every failed attempt, accurately, every year of sameness, accurately. It is not lying about a single exhibit. Its facts are all real. What is false is the conclusion, because the one thing despair cannot see is the count. Despair reads surfaces, and surfaces are always the last to know. The identical day is despair at the height of its evidence and the end of its accuracy. Now take this back to that night in the car, that morning on the edge of the bed. What if those were not the nights your story died? What if they were the nights the terrain itself announced how far you had come? Nearly everyone appointed to a great ending walks through an identical day, usually more than one, and nearly all of them mistake it for a verdict. The ones who make it through are not the ones who felt stronger. They are the ones who knew the day had a name. So your almost quitting is not the shameful secret you have been guarding. It is a mile marker of the deepest kind. You stood on the most convincing day the road can produce, with despair holding a folder of true facts and a false conclusion, and something in you, worn thin as it was, did not sign. You are still here. You are hearing this. The signature never happened, and now the day has a name, and named things lose most of their teeth. Out of this comes a rule, and I want you to adopt it tonight as law. Never issue verdicts on identical days. Never. You may weep on them, rest on them, crawl through them, but you may not conclude on them, because they are the one day of the road where all available evidence is real and the conclusion it points to is wrong. And since you cannot know in advance which day is the identical day, the rule simplifies into something beautifully carryable. No verdicts at night, no conclusions from inside the fog. The count does not need your confidence. It needs only your next circuit. And if you want to know what standing firm on an identical day sounds like, it sounds like this. I do not carry this thing to wherever I happen to drop it. I carry it to the line. Say that sentence once, out loud if you are able. Then, if it is yours, go to the comments and write it there for the ones who will arrive at their own identical day next week and need to see footprints. I carry it to the line. 6 words. Somewhere down the road of your own night, another tired walker will read them and take one more step, and that is not a small thing to have done with 6 words. Now, I could leave the teaching there, and it would already be enough to change how you walk. But there is a woman I need you to meet, because everything I have told you so far, the measured road, the 7th circuit, the identical day, all of it converged. One night in a palace, in the life of an orphan girl, on what may be the most consequential identical day ever recorded. And the detail that should raise the hair on your arms is this. On the night everything turned, The person it turned for was sound asleep. The turning had been assigned to someone else, someone who had already decided to walk at the door. Her name was Hadassah before it was Esther, and nothing about her beginnings predicted a palace. She was an orphan, raised by a cousin, a girl from a displaced people living quietly inside an empire that could crush them without noticing it had stepped on anything. If you had met her as a child and been told that the survival of her entire nation would one day pass through her hands, you would have smiled politely and changed the subject. And then, through a chain of events she did not choose and mostly could not have wanted, she was taken into the royal house and eventually crowned queen of the very empire her people were scattered across. It looked like fortune. It was placement. There is a difference, and she did not learn the difference until the decree came down that fixed a date for the destruction of everyone she came from. Hold the shape of that, a measured crisis with an actual date on it, a hidden person positioned years in advance before anyone could have known the date would exist, and a door that only she could walk through, because only she could enter the throne room. And even for her, the law said that approaching the king unsummoned was a capital offense, unless he chose mercy. The opening existed, it was narrow, and it had exactly one name on it. Her cousin sent her the sentence that has outlived the empire itself. Who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Listen to what that sentence is actually doing. It is reading her whole strange, painful biography backward and finding a kairos at the end of it. The appointed opening that every unchosen sorrow of her life had been quietly aiming her toward. Orphanhood, displacement, the long uprooting, all of it suddenly legible as trajectory. And here is the moment I brought you here to witness. Esther did not respond with confidence. There is no verse where she feels ready. She responded with a decision that walked straight through her fear rather than waiting for the fear to leave. She asked her people to fast with her for 3 days, a threshold of consecration, a deliberate crossing from one way of carrying her life to another. And then she said the words that mark every appointed person eventually. If I perish, I perish, but I will go to the king. Do you see what actually moved first? Not the circumstances. The circumstances were still catastrophic. The decree still stood, the enemy still ascendant, the gallows still under construction. What moved first was the carrier. The ending of that entire ordeal began not on the day the empire changed, but on the night one positioned person stopped carrying her life the old way and consecrated herself to the door. The kairos did not create her decision. Her decision met the kairos. That is the order. That is always the order. And now watch what the night before the turning looked like, because this is the part that should undo you a little. On that final evening, the enemy of her people stood at the height of his power. He had just built a gallows 75 feet high for the man who raised her. Every visible indicator was at its worst reading of the entire story. If you had assessed the situation that night by its surface, you would have called it finished, and you would have been reading an identical day at face value, which is the oldest mistake on the measured road. That same night, the king could not sleep. Of all the small hinges history turns on, a bout of royal insomnia. He asked for the chronicles to be read to him, the dullest medicine available, and the scroll happened to open to a forgotten record of the time Mordecai had saved his life and never been rewarded. By morning, everything had begun to invert, and within a day the reversal was total. The gallows received its own builder. The decree was overturned by a counter-decree. The date meant for an ending became a date of deliverance, and it happened at the speed openings happen, not at the speed roads walk. Chronos builds the road for years. Kairos turns it in a night. You have been measuring your future by the pace of the road, by how slowly everything has always moved, and so your hope has learned to think in years. But endings do not arrive at road speed. They arrive at door speed. The last movement of a long story is almost never gradual, because it was never a process concluding. It was an appointment being kept. Now I want to do something we have not yet done in this message. We have spent all this time understanding the road behind you and the door in front of you. Come stand on the other side of it with me for a moment, not as fantasy, as orientation. Athletes walk the course before they run it. Consider this your walk. It is a morning, not far from now. You wake at your usual hour, and something is missing, and it takes you until the kitchen to name it. The bracing is gone. That clench you have worn behind the sternum for so long that you thought it was part of your skeleton, simply absent, the way a sound you lived beside for years is suddenly noticeable only by its stopping. The problems of that morning are ordinary problems, solvable ones. Nothing about the light is special except that you are no longer watching it through glass. You catch yourself planning, actual planning, the kind with pleasure in it, and you realize the difference. For years, every plan was an escape route drawn by a prisoner studying the walls. Now it is just a plan, drawn by a free person at a kitchen table. Someone you love says something small and you laugh before you decide to, and they look at you for a second longer than usual because they heard it too. The weight did not leave quietly. Its absence is loud to the people who knew you under it. That morning is not a bribe I am offering you. It is a memory you are having early. Hold it lightly, the way Esther must have held some image of her people breathing free while she walked the corridor to the throne room. The image does not open the door, but it reminds the hand why it is reaching. And if the Father were to speak into this exact moment of the message, into the small ache that vision just opened in you, I believe it would come gently, like this. My child, I never hid the length of the road to grieve you. I hid it because you would have measured yourself against the whole distance and despaired, when all I ever asked of you was the mile you were standing in. You have walked every one of them. Look down. The road under your feet is almost out of road. Sit with that, and write those words above your own night, if they are yours to write, for such a time as this. Put them in the comments as a marker, because the person you will be on the far side of this threshold is already reading this differently than the person who pressed play. Something is loosening. I told you that you would feel it before the end, and we are not at the end yet, because now I have to take you to the darkest hour on the whole clock, the one you may be living in right now. There was a night on a lake when the appointed rescue arrived at the precise hour when human strength runs empty, and the men it came for almost screamed it away, because by that hour they no longer trusted anything that approached them. You need to know that hour by name before it comes for you. It is called the fourth watch, and it is the hinge of everything that remains in this message. But before I take you to that hour, stay inside this one with me for a moment longer, because something has been happening in your body over the last several minutes, and I do not want it to pass unwitnessed. Messages like this one are usually consumed the way everything else is consumed, at a distance, half scrolling. That stopped being true for you a while ago, and your body knows it even if you have not noticed yet. Check the jaw first. Somewhere between the palace and this sentence, it unlocked, and the teeth that usually rest pressed together are apart. Check the breath next. It has dropped from the high, shallow shelf where it usually lives, down into the belly, where the breath of children lives. And check the hands. However, they are resting right now. Notice that they are not fists. For a person whose baseline has been braced for years, none of this is trivia. This is the body voting before the mind has finished its deliberations. Here is what that loosening means, read by everything you have learned so far. Understanding, real understanding, is not an idea. agreeing with another idea. It is a nervous system standing down. You have heard true things tonight, at the pace truth actually lands, and the animal of you, the honest, unpolitical animal, has concluded it is safe to uncoil. Your mind may still be auditing. The deeper systems have already signed. They always sign first. They have less invested in the old story. Now let me show you what you look like from where I stand, because you cannot see it from inside. A person pressed play on this message an hour ago, out of a mix of exhaustion and habit, and one thin filament of maybe. That person believed their sensing was broken, their delay was a verdict, their flinch was damage, and their best years were behind them unwitnessed. That person, and hear this exactly, no longer exists, not improved. Concluded. You have been recontextualized in real time, and recontextualization does not reverse. You cannot unknow the measured road. You cannot unknow the count. Even if you clicked away this instant, you would carry the seventh circuit into every hard season for the rest of your life. That, by the way, is Kairos doing what Kairos does. You thought, quite reasonably, that your appointed moment was waiting out there somewhere, tomorrow, at the threshold, dressed as an event. But openings in the fabric do not only stand at the ends of roads. Sometimes the gap in the threads opens in the middle of an ordinary night, over a glowing screen, in a chest that quietly unclenches. You wanted to know what an appointed moment feels like from the inside, in case you missed yours. Chosen one, look around. You are not preparing for your Kairos tonight. You are sitting inside one, and you did not miss it. You could not have. It was aimed. Which is why what remains of this message matters so much, and why I am handling it in this order. A door has opened in you tonight, but you have not yet walked through the deepest chamber of it, the one where we deal, finally, once and for all, with the hour you have been dreading and living in at the same time, the darkest one, the one your clock already knows, the reason your eyes have been opening between 3 and 4. Everything until now has explained your road. What comes next explains your rescue and how not to scream when it arrives. So take one more of those low, unhurried breaths, the kind you have apparently remembered how to take, and come with me out onto the water, into the oldest cold there is, where tired rowers learn the one fact about darkness that changes every dark thing after it. The hour has a name, and the name is a schedule, and the schedule, chosen one, has always had you on it. The Romans divided the night into 4 watches, and sailors and soldiers knew them the way you know the rooms of your own house. The first watch held the last of the evening light. The second was deep night. The third carried you past midnight into the long middle dark. And then came the 4th watch, the hours between 3 and 6 in the morning, and everyone who ever kept it agreed on what it was. The coldest hours, the darkest water. The stretch where the body begs and the mind frays and dawn is a rumor nobody can confirm. Remember the first sign I read over you at the beginning of this message, the strange calm waking between 3 and 4 in the morning. I did not choose that window at random, and neither, I suspect, did whatever has been waking you. That window has a name older than your language, and things have a habit of happening in it. There was a night on the Lake of Galilee when a boat full of experienced fishermen hit a contrary wind. These were not tourists. This was their water, their trade, their whole inherited competence, and none of it was enough. The account says they were straining at the oars, and the word underneath is the word for torment. They rowed from evening into the 2nd watch, into the 3rd, and the wind did not care about their experience. By the 4th watch, they had been fighting the same mile of water for 9 hours, and were essentially still where they started. Put your arms inside their arms, because you know this night. You have been rowing the same mile of your life for years. You have competence, history, effort that would exhaust anyone watching, and the distance refuses to move. Every stroke is real, and the shore is not closer. That is not a story about weather. That is the third watch of your ordeal, and you have been living in it long enough to have forgotten that watches end. And then the text says the thing that should stop your breath. In the fourth watch of the night, he came to them, walking on the sea. Not in the first watch, when they still had strength to spare. Not in the second, when they still had strategies left to try. In the fourth, at the hour when human resource was fully spent, and not one oar stroke of self-rescue remained in them. The rescue was not late. It was aimed. Why that hour? Not cruelty. Mechanics. Hear this as the fourth great mechanism of this message, because it answers the question you have asked the ceiling 100 times. While a person can still row, every approaching thing looks like either an obstacle or a competitor. Full hands cannot receive. Self-sufficiency is a kind of noise, and it drowns the footsteps. There are forms of help that can only be recognized by a person who has finally stopped being their own rescue, and the fourth watch is simply the name of the hour when that finally happens. So the darkest stretch is not evidence of abandonment. It is the arrival corridor. The hour that reads as the absence of God is, again and again in every account we have, the hour of approach. It could not come earlier, not because heaven was withholding, but because earlier you were still armored in your own rowing, and it would have had to fight its way past your competence to reach you. But I have not told you the strangest part of the lake story yet, and it is the part that concerns you most directly, you specifically, in this specific season. When the rescue came, walking toward them on the very water that was beating them, the men in the boat did not cheer. They screamed. They thought it was a ghost. The thing they had begged for, arriving at last, looked so unlike what they expected that they nearly drove it off with their terror. 9 hours of contrary wind will do that to a crew. Live long enough under opposition, and you stop trusting approaching things on principle. Hope itself starts reading as a threat, because hope has hurt you more reliably than despair ever did. Remember your flinch, the one from the first minutes of this message. When the answer finally nears a person who has waited years, the answer always arrives wearing unfamiliarity, and the waiter always half mistakes it for one more wave. So mark this down as law number 2 of the last mile. When your ending approaches, it will not look the way you rehearsed it. It will come walking on the exact substance that has been against you, wearing a shape you do not recognize at the hour your strength is lowest. And your practiced, reasonable, well-earned suspicion will stand up in the boat and call it a ghost. Expect that. Plan for that. The appointed person is not the one who feels no terror at the approach. It is the one who does not let the terror finish the sentence. Because one man in that boat did not let it finish. Peter answered the approaching figure with the strangest prayer on record. If it is you, tell me to come to you on the water. Notice the structure of that. He did not ask for the wind to stop. He asked for a word that would let him walk on what had been fighting him. And the answer was one word: come. And for as long as his eyes stayed on the caller instead of the chaos, the sea that had tormented the boat for 9 hours held his weight like pavement. The water did not change. The relationship to it changed. This is what crossing a threshold actually is, and it is why I keep telling you that the ending is a door and not a weather pattern. The contrary thing in your life may still be there on the morning after your crossing. What breaks is its jurisdiction. What ends is the version of you that could only be beaten by it. The wave becomes walkable not because it's softened, but because you finally moved at the call instead of bracing at the spray. If you are in the fourth watch right now, and something tells me the ones who have stayed this long are, then hear your own account read back to you. The wind has been contrary for years. Your rowing has been heroic, and insufficient. The hour is darker than it has ever been, and precisely because of all of that, you should be watching the water, because this is the watch when things arrive. Do not spend the arrival hour staring at the floor of the boat. Write it where the other rowers can see it. I am in the 4th watch. 6 words in the comments, and understand what you are actually doing when you write them. You are telling the truth about the hour without surrendering to it, and you are marking yourself among the ones watching the water instead of cursing the wind. Every crew needs one person doing that. In your house, in your family line, that person has a name, and I am still holding it for the end. Now the mysteries begin closing, one by one, because you have earned their closing. I still owe you a face-down card. I told you that something physical, something with an address, has been dragging against your effort this whole climb, and that researchers found it. It is time to walk toward that card. And the road to it begins somewhere unexpected, in a room full of 5-year-old children taking a test that would quietly become one of the most unsettling findings of the last 100 years. But before I open that door, I need to turn and face someone, not the hopeful part of you, the other one, the one who has been sitting through all of this with folded arms, keeping score, waiting for the catch. I know that one is in the room, because that one is always in the room by this point, and I refuse to talk past any part of you. So, let the guard step forward for a minute. The guard has earned the floor. The guard says something like this: I have heard beautiful messages before. I have sensed endings before, felt chills before, written hopeful words in comment boxes before. And then Monday came, and the bills came, and nothing that glows at midnight survived the noon. Why should this be different? That is not cynicism. That is data, and I will not insult a wound by calling it an attitude. So here is my honest answer. The messages that failed you were almost all comfort without mechanics. They told you that you were seen, and you are, but they gave you nothing with moving parts, nothing that explained the years, nothing you could hold at 4 in the morning that was sturdier than a mood. What you have been given tonight is different in kind, not in warmth. The measured road is mechanics. The identical day is mechanics. You have not been soothed for the last hour. You have been equipped. Moods evaporate because they were weather. Tools stay in the hand. Next week, when the surface of your life argues that nothing has changed, a mood would lose that argument in seconds. But you will not be holding a mood. You will be holding a count, a named day, a watch schedule for the darkest hours. The difference you are looking for is not in how this message makes you feel tonight. It is in what remains in your grip on the identical day. This time, you do not leave with a glow. You leave with equipment. Then there is a quieter voice behind the guard, and it says, "This is all just psychology, clever framing, stories about walls and watches." To that voice, I want to say something that may surprise you. Partly, yes. And that is not a defect. Whatever heaven does with a human being, it does through the actual architecture of that human being, through memory and attention and the machinery of hope. Truth does not become less true because it can be described. The question was never whether this has structure. The question is whether it is accurate about your life. You already know the answer. You have been feeling the answer since the flinch. And behind that voice there is a smaller one, the one that whispers last. It says, "You do not know what I have done. You do not know how many circuits I skipped, the years I was bitter, the people I failed while I was drowning, the days I did not walk anything at all because I could not get off the floor. If the road is measured, I have wandered off it too many times to still be on schedule." Come here, carrier of that voice, because this next sentence is for you alone. A measured road is measured by the one who also measured you. The detours are inside the measurement. The collapsed years are inside it. The bitter seasons, the floor days, the circuits walked crying or walked crawling or not walked at all of it was known before the road was cut, and the road was cut anyway, to this length, ending at this door, with your name on the appointment. You cannot have disqualified yourself from an ending that was measured with your failures already in view. Hear how the old accounts handle this, because they are almost scandalous about it. The people who circled Jericho were the children of the generation that refused the door 40 years earlier. Failures of the exact assignment, and the assignment survived them and passed to their house anyway. Esther reached her threshold through a history nobody would design. Peter got out of the boat, walked, doubted, and sank, and the hand that caught him did not first review his form. The appointed are not the unblemished. They are simply the ones still in the boat when the fourth watch comes. You are still in the boat. That is the entire entrance requirement, and you meet it. So let the guard keep his post, honestly. Do not manufacture certainty you do not have. The seventh circuit was walked by tired people with no evidence, and their footsteps counted exactly the same as confident ones would have. Bring your folded arms with you if you must. Just bring them along the route. Doubt that walks outranks. Faith that sits every single day of the week. Now stand up straight for a moment, wherever you are, and let me do one small thing with your body before we go through the next door, because the next stretch of this message is not spiritual, and I want you grounded for it. Notice your jaw. Unclench it. Notice your shoulders, which have crept toward your ears sometime in the last few minutes, and let them drop. Take one breath that goes all the way to the bottom. You have been listening like a defendant. Listen like an heir now. The posture matters more than you think, and you will understand why in about 2 minutes. Because everything I have told you so far has assumed something we have not examined. It has assumed that when your door opens, when the wall drops on the seventh circuit, and the appointed morning arrives, you will be able to walk through what opens. Walking through takes equipment of another kind. Not righteousness, not luck, capacity, the full instrument you were issued at the start of your life. And this is where I have to tell you something difficult, and I need you to hear it as a physician would say it, calmly and with evidence, not as a preacher would shout it. Somewhere between the child you were and the adult reading this, most of that instrument was quietly switched off, not demolished. Switched off. And the switching off was so gradual, so universal, so perfectly normalized, that you have spent your whole adult life mistaking the dimmed version of you for the actual one. The drag you have felt on this entire climb, the card I laid face down near the beginning, the something physical with an address, this is its neighborhood. And the proof did not come from a pulpit. It came from a room full of 5-year-olds. Decades ago, researchers set out to measure something almost nobody thought to measure. Not knowledge, not obedience, not the things schools grade. They wanted to measure generative capacity, the raw ability of a mind to produce original solutions to an open problem, to see paths where no path is marked. The kind of thinking every breakthrough in human history has required. They built a careful test for it, and then they gave that test to a group of 5-year-old children. The results were so high that they seemed like an error. At 5 years old, nearly all of the children, day after day, scored at what the researchers could only classify as the genius level of creative capacity. Not a gifted few in the corner of the room. Nearly all of them. Whatever this capacity is, the evidence said, human beings arrive with it as standard equipment, the way we arrive with lungs. So, they did the obvious next thing. They followed the same children and tested them again at 10 years old. The genius-level scores had collapsed to a fraction of the group. They tested again in the mid-teens, a smaller fraction still. And when the same style of test was given to adults, grown, educated, employed, functional adults, the portion still scoring at that original level was fewer than 1 in 1,000. Sit with the shape of that curve, because it only points one direction. This is not a story about rare gifts sprinkled on the few. It is a story about a universal endowment and its systematic disappearance. Genius, in this measurable sense, is not something you lacked. It is something you had documented at 5, and something was done to it slowly, invisibly, by the ordinary machinery of growing up. Nobody signed a consent form for that. Now, what could switch off something that fundamental without anyone noticing? For that, you need to know about a quiet man named Dr. Roger Sperry, whose research on the divided brain earned the Nobel Prize. What his work revealed, in clean laboratory detail, is that you do not have one processor behind your eyes. You have 2 distinct hemispheres, 2 modes of mind, and they are profoundly different in what they are good at. One side runs sequence, language, logic, lists, the step-after-step machinery that gets you through forms and schedules and tax season. The other side runs the whole picture, pattern, imagery, intuition, the leap that arrives without showing its work. And the magic, the actual documented magic of the human mind, does not live in either side. It lives in the traffic between them. Insight is a duet. Every eureka moment ever recorded is the sound of 2 hemispheres striking the same note at the same instant. Here is the part that concerns you. That traffic is not fixed. The connection between the 2 sides is like a road, and roads are maintained by use and starved by neglect. Now, ask yourself what the last several decades of ordinary life have trained. School rewarded one side almost exclusively, the sequence side, the sit still and produce the expected answer side. Then, work rewarded it harder. Then, stress finished the job. Because a mind under chronic threat pulls all resources into short-term survival processing and lets the connecting road go to weeds. Childhood kept the duet alive because childhood was full of wonder and unstructured play, the exact activities that force the 2 sides to talk. Adulthood, as our world has built it, is a decades-long training program in one hemisphere, and the 5-year-old you once were would not recognize the traffic patterns in your head today. The capacity did not die. Hear me on this, because the difference is everything. Dimmed is not dead. A starved road is still a road. The infrastructure is intact under the weeds. Nothing was amputated. It was abandoned. And abandoned things can be reclaimed in a way amputated things cannot. Now bring this back to the measured road, because the collision of these 2 stories is where your last several years suddenly make a terrible kind of sense. Think about what the final mile of a long ordeal actually demands. New solutions, because the old ones are exhausted. Recognition of unfamiliar rescue, the thing the boat crew failed at. The ability to see a door in a wall you have stared at for years. Every one of those is a whole mind task, a duet task. The last mile is precisely the stretch that requires the equipment you have had the least access to. So here is the honest accounting of your climb. You have been attempting the steepest section of your entire road while running on half of your issued instrument, one hemisphere doing the work of 2, like a bird flying great distances with one wing bound to its side. And you concluded, year after year, that the problem was your character, your laziness, your weak faith, chosen one. The bird was never lazy. The bird was bound, and it flew anyway. And the distance it covered while bound is the single most impressive fact in this entire message. Do you understand what that means about you? Everything you have survived, you survived, dimmed. Everything you built, dimmed. The circuits you walked, the identical days you refused to sign, The 4th watches you rode through, all of it was done on a fraction of your design capacity. When I tell you that heaven looks at your endurance with something like awe, I am not flattering you. I am doing arithmetic. The ones who make it this far while bound are precisely the ones the great endings are entrusted to. But now a question should be rising in you, and it should have an edge on it. If nearly every child has this, and nearly every adult loses it, and the loss is measurable and the mechanism is known, why is this the first time anyone has laid it out for you like this? Why did every sermon blame your spirit and every seminar blame your habits, while the instrument itself sat there, documented, dimmed, and undiscussed? That question has an answer. It is not a comfortable one, and it is the exact center of this entire message. So I need you to walk into it with your eyes open. You are at the halfway mark of this journey with me, and I will tell you plainly, the largest thing I have to give you is still ahead of us, and it is not information. Stay in the boat. Let me ask the uncomfortable question again, slowly. Nearly every human being arrives with genius-level capacity, documented. Nearly every adult ends up with it switched off, documented. The dimming happens through systems every one of us was required to pass through, and the result is a population of magnificent instruments running on a fraction of their design, too foggy to ask where the rest of themselves went. If you saw this pattern anywhere else, in any other domain, what would you call it? I will tell you what I call it. The great swindle of our lifetime. Not a conspiracy with a boardroom and a memo. Something quieter and more complete than that. A set of interlocking machines, schooling that rewarded compliance over wonder, work that priced imagination at zero, food and screens and chronic alarm, that kept the nervous system too loud for the duet to be heard. No single villain. And yet the outcome is exactly what a theft would look like. Something of immense value, taken from nearly everyone, so early and so smoothly that the owners grew up never knowing they had been robbed. You cannot grieve a theft you never noticed, so instead you spent your adult life prosecuting yourself for the missing goods. Why am I so tired? Why is the fog so thick? Why can everyone else seem to want things cleanly while my wanting comes wrapped in static? You thought those were confessions. They were inventory reports from a burgled house. And now that you see it as a theft, everything about your posture toward restoration has to change. And this is the twist upon which the whole second half of this message turns. You have been asking for your capacities back the way a beggar asks, hoping to be granted an exception, pleading in the doorway of your own house. But recovered stolen goods are not a favor. There is a word for what the owner of stolen property does, and it is not request. It is claim. The old prophet Joel carried a promise from the mouth of God that has made thieves nervous for thousands of years. I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten. Read that sentence the way it is actually built. It does not say, I will comfort you about the years. It does not say, I will help you accept the years. It says restore, a word from the vocabulary of property law. The word used when something that always belonged to you is returned to your hand. Heaven, apparently, keeps receipts. Notice also what the promise assumes. It assumes the eating was real. It does not gaslight the loss. The locusts happened, the years happened, the dimming happened, and no one upstairs is pretending otherwise. But the same sentence that honors the loss asserts the title. What was eaten is recoverable, because what was eaten was always yours, and the one making the promise considers himself good for it. That is not consolation. That is a lien being enforced. So tonight, as one of the practical stones you carry out of this message, I want you to change the grammar of your asking. You have prayed, probably for years, some version of please. If it is your will, maybe, somehow, help me." And the trembling in that prayer was mistaken for humility. But there is a moment when what looks like humility is actually a quiet agreement with the thief. You do not request the return of what was stolen from a 5-year-old. You stand up inside the promise that was published about it, and you claim, say it in the comments if it is yours, 5 words. I claim the years back. Understand what you are writing when you write it, not a demand shouted at the sky by someone who thinks they are owed ease. A legal heir reading the will aloud in the hearing of the House. There are words that change the one who says them faster than they change anything else, and claim words are the fastest of that kind. Now watch how this snaps together with everything you have learned tonight, because this is where the 2 halves of this message become one thing. The measured road explained your years. The Kairos explained your ending. The 7th Circuit explained your weariness. The identical day explained your despair. The 4th watch explained your hour. But underneath all of it, this whole time, there was a second story running. The story of an instrument issued at birth, dimmed by a swindle, and dragged up the steepest road anyway. And here is the sentence where those 2 stories collide, and I want you to read it twice. The threshold in front of you is appointed, and the instrument you are going to cross it with is the one thing the swindle took. That is the deep architecture of your entire situation. That is why the sensing was accurate and the crossing kept not happening. That is why the final stretch has felt not just heavy but impossible. Why you can see the door now and still feel unable to walk at it. Doors are walked at with whole minds. You have been sent to a kairos while bound. If that lands on you with the weight of a diagnosis, good, because a diagnosis is exactly what it is, and diagnoses are the most hopeful documents in the world when the condition is treatable. This one is treatable. Dimmed is not dead. And the card I laid face down at the beginning of this message, the physical thing with an address, is now face up on the table between us. And soon I will tell you what can actually be done about it. Because something can, but not yet. Because there is one lock left on your door that no instrument, however fully restored, can open. It has only one key, and the key is not information, and it is not effort. The key is a decision that only the carrier can make, and it is time to talk about the carrier. It is time to talk about you. There is a suspicion you have been carrying that is heavier than the ordeal itself, and you have never once said it in daylight. It surfaces in the gap between prayers, in the half-second after someone says, "Everything happens for a reason." The suspicion is this: deep down, you believe the delay might be your fault, that everyone else got their door on schedule and yours stands shut because of something wrong in you, something you should have fixed by now. And at the same time, in the same chest, you carry the opposite conviction, that you are waiting on God, that you have done all you can, that the next move belongs to heaven, and heaven is taking its time. You have lived for years in the crossfire of those 2 beliefs, guilty and helpless at once, pedaling and braking with the same foot. The exhaustion of that crossfire is its own ordeal, and tonight it ends, because both beliefs are wrong, and they are wrong in the same beautiful direction. First, throw out the fault. You have heard the evidence all night. The road was measured before your first step. The dimming was done to you at an age when you could not have consented or resisted. The identical days, the false dawns, the 4th watch, all of it is the standard terrain of appointed roads walked by every appointed person in every account we have. Nothing about your delay is a punishment, because the length was never a sentence. It was a distance. A distance is not a fault, and it never belonged to you as blame. But now, gently, I have to take away the helplessness too, and this will be harder, because helplessness for all its misery is warm. If everything waits on heaven, then nothing waits on you, and there is a terrible comfort in that. Here is what is actually true, and it is the deepest mechanism I will name tonight. Some things in this universe do not end when God moves. They end when the person carrying them changes their grip. And heaven, out of something that can only be called respect, will not pry a burden out of hands that are still holding it. Think about how you have carried this thing all these years. You carried it the old way, the way the swindle taught you, as identity. The struggle became your address. You introduced yourself to yourself through it, planned around its permanence, built your voice, your caution, your entire architecture of hope on the assumption of its company. You do not merely have this ordeal, chosen one. You have been in a relationship with it, and endings, real ones, are not events that happen to a relationship. They are decisions that happen inside one. This is why the sensing kept coming, and the ending kept not arriving. Heaven was not stalling. Heaven was waiting at the door with its side already open, and the door, as it turns out, has two sides. The appointed opening stood ready. The appointed person kept approaching it, carrying the very thing the doorway is too narrow to admit. You cannot cross a threshold holding the season you are leaving. Nobody can. The door is not narrow out of cruelty. It is narrow because it is fitted exactly to you and only to you, and the old cargo was never in the measurements. There is a name for the moment when this changes, and it is the fourth tool of this night. The handover hour. The handover hour is the appointed moment when the carrier stops carrying the old way, when the grip opens, when the weight changes hands from you to the one who has been offering to take it with unbearable patience for years. It is not a feeling, it is a transaction, and here is what you must understand about its timing. The handover hour cannot be scheduled by heaven, because its one moving part is your hand. Now read the title of this message one final time, with everything you know. The final moment is tomorrow, and you are the reason it ends, not the reason it lasted, the reason it ends. The way a key is the reason. The way Esther was the reason, sound asleep king, finished gallows, one consecrated woman deciding to walk at the door. All the machinery of your ending has been in position for longer than you would believe if I could show you. The wall is on its 7th day. The water is at its 4th watch. The one variable left in the whole equation is a grip, and the grip is yours, and that is not an accusation. That is the highest compliment heaven pays a human being. It ends with you because you were trusted to be the one it ends with. So why tomorrow? Why not this instant? Because handovers of things carried this long are not flinches, they are ceremonies. Tonight you will learn the grip this very night, before you sleep, with your own breath, exactly as I promised in the first minutes. And tomorrow you will rise and walk your first circuit as a person whose hands are open. And that morning, that specific, ordinary morning, is the tomorrow that was spoken over you, not a lottery date. A threshold with your footprint already measured into it. The delay was never rejection, chosen one. Some of the delay was distance, and you have walked the distance. Some of it was the bound wing, and that is being dealt with. But the last portion of the delay, the part that has hurt the most, was courtesy. The courtesy of a father who would rather wait years at an open door than tear out of the arms of his child, the only architecture that child had ever trusted. He was never punishing you by not moving. He was honoring you by not forcing you. Heaven has been early this whole time, waiting for its favorite part, which is you arriving. If your chest just did something strange, do not rush past it. That is the weight noticing it has been discussed. Put 5 words in the comments as a record that the discussion happened. The handover hour is now. Write it even if your grip has not opened yet, especially then. Some sentences go ahead of us like scouts, and the hands follow them within days. And now every road in this message converges on a single practical question, and I can hear you asking it, because it is the right question, and it has been the right question for an hour. If the door is appointed, and the hour is at hand, and the crossing demands the whole instrument, the duet, the unbound wing, then how does a person whose mind was dimmed for decades get the instrument back in time? Knowing why you were robbed does not refund you. Understanding the fog is not the same as mourning. What do you actually do? Hold that question exactly where it is. Do not soften it. Its answer is the next thing I am going to say. But first, one honest observation, because most messages like this one stop exactly here, at the beautiful diagnosis, and leave you glowing and unchanged. Why does knowing all of this still not produce movement? Why do insights collect in you like rain in a barrel while the garden stays dry? You have understood things deeply before. You understood and stayed stuck, understood and stayed dim. The answer to that riddle is not in your mind at all. It is somewhere you have not been looking. And in the next few minutes, I am going to point directly at it. Let me now speak plainly for a moment, without imagery, because you deserve to hear the whole architecture in one clean piece. Here is why you have been stuck. Your long ordeal was finite and appointed, but you were never told its shape, so you read it as endless, and endless readings exhaust the soul. On top of that, the capacity you needed for the final stretch, the full cooperative working of your mind, was reduced in childhood by ordinary schooling, ordinary stress, and ordinary survival. So you climbed the hardest part with the least equipment. And on top of that, you learned to carry the whole thing as identity, which kept the door shut from your side, even as it opened from the other. Here is what must now happen, in equally plain terms. 3 things, and they fit together like hand and glove and key. You must cross a decision line tonight, a deliberate consecration that changes how you carry this, which I will walk you through personally before this message ends. You must protect that decision on the identical days that follow it, using the rules you now have. And the dimmed instrument itself must be given a way to recover, because decision and clarity ride on capacity, and capacity is a physical fact with a physical answer. And here is who this applies to, so there is no confusion. Not everyone who happens to hear this. It applies to the person who recognized the signs at the beginning, who has sensed the ending in their body, who has walked years of circuits without applause, and is still, against all odds, walking. If that is you, then what follows is not general information. It is logistics for your specific crossing. You have spent decades being the one who carries. You are about to become the one who crosses. The gap between those two people is smaller tonight than it has ever been. Some months ago, I came across the work of a physician that I could not put down. And as you hear this next part, you will understand why it belongs in this message and could not belong anywhere else. His name is Dr. Daniel Barone, a neurologist in New York City, a man who has spent his career on the clinical side of the human brain, the side with instruments and imaging and peer review, not the side with candles. By reputation, he is the opposite of dramatic, which is what makes what he found so hard to dismiss. Like every neurologist, he kept meeting a certain kind of patient, people who were, by every scan and panel, healthy, and who nevertheless described the same strange interior weather. Fog that never fully lifted, focus that slid off tasks like water off glass, a creativity they could remember having, the way you remember a childhood house, but could not re-enter. Prayers and plans alike, dissolving into static, people doing everything right, and still living at half brightness, and being told, politely, that nothing was wrong with them. One of his patients, A woman who had held a demanding career while raising children said something that reportedly stopped him cold. She said, "I feel like someone turned down the lights in here, and I cannot find the switch." He had heard versions of that sentence for years. This time, he went looking for the switch. His search led him back to the research trail we walked earlier, the Nobel-recognized work of Dr. Roger Sperry on the divided brain, and to the mountain of findings that grew from it. And there he found the address of the fog, not damage in either hemisphere. Both hemispheres of these patients were healthy. What had failed was the conversation between them, the traffic across the bridge, the duet. Decades of one-sided living had starved the connection until the two halves of the instrument were playing in separate rooms, and everything these people were missing, the clarity, the spark, the felt sense of direction, lives only in the space where the two sides meet. That was the diagnosis, and you already know it, because you have been living it. But Dr. Barone was not interested in stopping at diagnosis, because a diagnosis without a treatment is just a well-documented sorrow. The question that consumed his team was this: if the connection was trained down by years of input, could it be trained back up the same way, through the ears, through precisely structured sound, without effort, without screens, without a clinic? Years of development followed, his team refining what they came to call neural sync technology, a way of structuring audio so that the two hemispheres are gently invited back into step with each other. The way two people walking side by side fall into rhythm without deciding to. The goal had a name as well: whole brain activation, the restored condition in which both sides of the mind work as one instrument again, the condition you were in, measurably, at 5 years old. Understand what this is and is not. It is not mystical. It is maintenance. The road between your hemispheres was starved, and this is food. When they brought it to trial with real people, the reports that came back were the kind that make a careful man nervous, because they sounded too warm for a laboratory. A colleague whose book had sat unfinished for 2 years watched it come together in weeks. Others reported old tensions unknotting, ideas arriving again, the sense, as one put it, of rooms in the house lighting up that had been dark so long they had forgotten the rooms were there. His team kept the protocol short on purpose, because the point was never to add a burden to burdened lives. They compressed what an hour in a clinic might do into a form anyone could use at home. I am going to tell you what it is called in a moment, and where it lives, and what it asks of you, which is almost embarrassingly little. But I want you to hear the frame one more time first, because the frame is the reason I am telling you this at all. Tomorrow, you cross a threshold. The crossing is spiritual, and no audio on earth can do it for you. But you were always meant to arrive at that door with your whole instrument, the duet, the unbound wing. Heaven set the appointment. A neurologist, without knowing it, spent years building the thing that gets your equipment to the appointment. I do not believe those two facts landed in your life in the same season, by accident. So here is the whole of it, plainly given. The work of Dr. Barone and his team was eventually gathered into a single instrument that anyone can use, and he gave it a name that tells you exactly what he believes about you. It is called the Genius Switch, named for the finding that started everything, that the genius was never absent from you, only switched off, and that a switch, unlike a wound, is not healed. It is flipped. Let me tell you what it actually is, because after everything this message has walked through, you deserve specifics, and not perfume. It is a targeted auditory sequence, 8 minutes long. You put on headphones, you close your eyes, and you listen once a day. That is the entire protocol. There is nothing to memorize, nothing to visualize on command, no mantra, no journal you will abandon by Thursday. The structure in the sound does the reaching. It works beneath your effort in the same quiet place where the dimming happened, which is exactly where the undimming has to happen. And if you miss a day, you miss a day. You pick it up again the next morning without penalty, the way you would resume any walk. I am told some people listen while the coffee brews. Some listen in the car before they go into the house that needs the strongest version of them. 8 minutes. The swindle took decades. The repair asks for 8 minutes. I want to tell you about 2 of the people among those who have walked through this door, because their befores will sound familiar to you. A woman from California, a nurse, described her old normal in words that could have come from the first 10 minutes of this message. Life was happening to me, she said. Fog on everything, hope gone quiet, a sense of being blocked that no effort touched. Within about 10 days of the 8-minute practice, her word for what changed was cleared. Like a channel that had been jammed was suddenly open, she said. The stress she had carried as a permanent resident dissolved, and the people closest to her noticed before she told them anything. A man from Texas, a business owner with 2 children, said that for years his praying had felt like talking into a wall, and his thinking felt like wading. His fear, the one he never said at dinner, was that he was carrying his whole family on a mind running at partial power, and that someday the difference would matter. A few weeks in, his description was mechanical, fittingly for a builder. Firing on all cylinders again, he said. The fog he had stopped even noticing, because it had become his weather, was simply gone, and its absence was loud. Those 2 are not unusual. At the last count I saw, 18,456 everyday Americans have taken up this same 8-minute practice. Nurses and drivers and grandmothers and pastors, people who had tried everything that promises and learned to flinch at promises, which is exactly why I am careful to give you mechanics instead. That is because of what the team Dr. Barone leads spent years building, and because a dimmed instrument, given back its duet, behaves like what it always was. Now let me say clearly who this is for, because it is genuinely not for everyone. If life feels loud and fine and fully lit to you, you do not need it, and I would rather you save your money. The Genius Switch was built for the one who recognized themselves tonight, the one who has felt the drag under their effort for years and blamed their character, the one who senses an appointed door in front of them and quietly fears arriving at it half-lit, the one who was a quick, bright, endlessly curious child, and who has wondered, in private, where that child went. If that is you, this was built about you, and I mean that almost literally, because it was built from the case files of people exactly like you. And notice, please, how strange and fitting the timing is. This message found you on the eve of your threshold, in the season your nights already told you was an ending, carrying both the map of your road and the answer to the bound wing. You have learned tonight that heaven works in appointments, not accidents. I will let you decide what this one is. I promised you honesty about every practical detail, so here is the question of cost, handled the way the physician himself handles it. When colleagues first saw the finished work and what it was doing, the figure they attached to it was $500. And given what clinics charge for a single hour of neurological care, that number was not theater. It was a floor. The official price was then set at $49, because the stated goal was never to build a boutique for the wealthy, but to put the switch within reach of the exact people. The swindle hit hardest, the ones working 2 jobs on half an instrument. But through the page connected to this message, in the description below, and in the pinned comment, it is currently $39, 10 less than the official price, on the page itself, today. I do not know how long that number holds, and I will not pretend to know, because I promised you no theater. I can only tell you what is true. At the hour, I am recording this. $39 for the instrument a swindled world never offered you back. And they refused to let it come alone. 4 gifts ride with it at no added cost. A guided visualization from one of the most loved creators on the largest calm and rest application in the world, walking you into the felt reality of your restored life across money, love, health, and joy. A grocery guide naming the 10 common American foods that thicken mental fog, and 5 simple swaps that families report. Save them $100 and more each month at the stores you already shop in. A classic book on drawing provision toward your life, more than a century old, the quiet root under most of what is taught about abundance today. And a beautifully designed guide to the 5 daily habits that most reliably build an ideal future, made to be printed and placed where your eyes land each morning. Why stack all that on top? Because the team understands something the swindle never did. A person crossing a threshold needs provisions for the road on the other side, not just a key for the door. The bonuses are the road provisions. The sequence is the key. Now hear the part that removes the last of the risk. And listen to how unusual this actually is. The whole thing is covered by a 100% ironclad money-back guarantee, not a trial window with fine print teeth. If it does not do for you what I have described, you write to them and every cent returns to you, for any reason or for no reason you can articulate beyond, "It was not for me." And here is the detail that tells you everything about the confidence behind it. The guarantee holds no matter how many times you have listened. You could use it every day and still be covered. Think about what kind of team offers terms like that. A team selling perfume could not survive it. Only people who have watched the letters arrive for years, the cleared channels and the lit rooms, can afford to hand every stranger a full key and an unlocked exit at the same time. The risk of this decision has been moved entirely off your shoulders and onto theirs. What remains on your side of the table is not risk. It is only the question of whether you will walk at the door. I will tell you honestly about the price holding. I do not know that $39 survives the month, and the team has said plainly that it may return to the official figure without ceremony. There is no dramatic clock ticking on the page, because they refuse to manufacture panic, and I would not carry this message for people who did. But between a person who moves in their kairos and a person who bookmarks it for later, there has always been a difference, and you have just spent an hour learning what that difference costs. Later is the most expensive word on the measured road. One warning, and it matters. Because the name has gotten around, there are imitations circulating, tracks wearing similar labels on the big music services and marketplace sites, none of which carry the actual structure that took years to build. A label is free. The engineering is not. So hear this clearly. The genuine work lives in exactly one place, the official page. And the only door to that page that I can vouch for is in the description below and in the pinned comment. Not the storefront of the online everything store. Not the streaming services. The one page. If you go by that door. And I will say the invitation the way it deserves to be said, which is softly. If your spirit has been leaning forward these last several minutes, trust the leaning. You have spent years learning to distrust approaching help, and we have already named where that reflex comes from and what it almost cost the men in the boat. This is one of those approaching things. It is allowed to be ordinary. It is allowed to arrive through a page and a pair of headphones. The manna was allowed to be bread. Go by the door in the description and the pinned comment and see what the leaning was about. If you need one more human fact to rest your decision on, rest it on this one. A practicing neurologist in the most scrutinized medical city in the world put his real name on this work. Physicians live and die by their names. Every credential he holds stands behind the claim that what the genius switch restores is real, restorable, and worth restoring. People do not stake decades of reputation on perfume. That is not proof of what it will do in your particular life. Nothing is, until you try. But it is proof of seriousness. And seriousness is the thing your flinch has been waiting to see before it stands down. Now, let me answer the 3 objections I can hear from here, because they are honest ones, and they deserve daylight rather than management. First, I have tried things before. Sound programs, courses, methods, and my hope has the scar tissue to show for it. I know, but look at what you actually tried. Nearly all of it addressed either your beliefs or your habits, the software of you. This addresses the starved connection itself, the level where the swindle actually operated. You have never tried the thing that works at the address where the theft happened. Different address, different category, different result. And this time, the exit door stays unlocked the entire time. Second, $39 is real money at my house. It is at most houses, and pretending otherwise would insult you. So weigh it against its true alternative, which is not zero. The true alternative is the ongoing cost of staying dimmed, the missed ideas, the flat prayers, the decisions made in fog at the exact season of your life when everything depends on clarity. You have been paying for the dimness for decades, in the most expensive currency there is. Against that ledger, this is not a purchase so much as a transfer, shifting 1 month of coffee money from maintaining the fog to ending it. And if it fails you, every cent walks back home. Third, I do not have time for one more practice. Friend, it is 8 minutes with your eyes closed, doing nothing. You have 8 minutes of scrolling buried in every single day like loose change in a couch. This asks for less time than the worry itself currently takes. If 8 minutes truly cannot be found, then the problem was never the clock, and you know it. The problem is permission, the old unworthiness wearing a wristwatch. And unworthiness received its answer from this message an hour ago. You are the one still in the boat. You meet the requirement. So that is the whole of it, given straight. The door is in the description and in the pinned comment. What you do with it is between you and the one who set your appointment. I have no way of knowing which hearers of this message are at their 4th watch and which are still mid-road. But you know, and the knowing has been getting louder in you for 20 minutes. Either way, what comes next in this message is for every single one of you, because before this message ends, I am going to speak something over your life, something I have been holding since the first minute, and once it is spoken, it cannot be unspoken. We are close now. Come back with me now to the deep water of this message, because the rest of what I have for you, money cannot touch. I want to tell you about a woman I will not name, in a mid-sized American city I will not name, because she asked that the story travel without her attached to it. 3 winters ago, she was living the 4th watch with the lights off. Her marriage had ended in the same season, her hours at work were cut, and the letter on her kitchen counter gave her until the end of the month to bring the rent current or be gone. She told me the worst part was not the fear, it was the sameness. Every morning the same arithmetic that would not add, every night the same ceiling. She had prayed the big desperate prayers for months, the storming ones, the bargaining ones, and heaven, as far as she could measure, had not shifted one molecule on her behalf. She was, though she did not have the language for it then, deep into a string of identical days, and despair had its folder open on the table. And then she did something so small it should embarrass every dramatic sermon ever preached. She began, each evening, to set her kitchen table for the next morning. 1 plate, 1 cup, 1 spoon, laid out the night before, every night, no matter what the arithmetic said. When a friend asked her why, she said the only theology she had left: tomorrow is going to arrive, and when it does, I intend to receive it like a guest and not a burglar. That was the whole practice. A plate, a cup, a spoon, a widow building an altar out of breakfast. Nothing happened for 11 days. On the 12th day, a woman she had worked with years earlier called her out of nowhere, apologizing for the strangeness, saying her company had been trying to fill a coordinator role for a month, and that morning, in the shower, your face would not leave me alone. The interview was on a Tuesday. The offer letter, which arrived before the rent deadline, paid more than the job she had lost. When she tells the story now, she does not say, "A miracle saved her." She says something better. She says, "The table knew before I did." I am not telling you that setting a table summons job offers. Hear me carefully, because this is the difference between faith and superstition. The table did not change the world. The table changed the woman who kept setting it. It kept one small daily circuit alive through a string of identical days, and it kept her hands in the posture of receiving during the exact window when her mind was arguing for fists. When her fourth watch arrival came walking, she did not scream it away as a ghost, because every evening she had rehearsed the arrival of good. The practice did not purchase the turning. It made her recognizable to it. That is what practices are for, and that is why I am now going to put 4 of them in your hands. Small ones, daily ones, each built from a tool you already learned tonight. Do not let their size fool you. The people of the 7th Circuit were not given a catapult. They were given a root and a number, and the wall respected the arithmetic. The first practice is the one I promised you in the opening minutes, and it is your assignment for this very night. I call it the evening handover. Tonight, before sleep, sit anywhere your body can be still, and place both hands palm up on your knees, open, empty. Breathe in slowly and let the breath gather everything you have carried the old way. Name a piece of it if you can, the situation, the person, the year. Then breathe out even more slowly, and as the air leaves you, say inside yourself, "I hand it over." Do that 7 times, once for each circuit of that old city. 7 breaths in that gathered, 7 breaths out that released. On the last exhale, leave the hands open a moment longer, because open is the shape you are teaching them. That is the entire ceremony of your crossing, and no part of it depends on feeling anything. You may feel a shifting like furniture on a floor above you. Many do. You may feel nothing but your own breathing, and it counts exactly the same, the way Circuit 6 counted the same as Circuit 1. Tomorrow morning, you rise as the one whose hands change sides in the night, and that morning, whatever it holds, is the tomorrow this whole message has been walking toward. The handover hour keeps no other calendar than your consent. The second practice belongs to your mornings, and it takes 1 minute. Each day, somewhere near the coffee or the commute, write a single line, 1 sentence only, naming one way the road moved in the last day. Not a gratitude list. This is sharper than that. A surveyor's note, the call that came, the fear that weighed less, the idea that arrived, the coincidence too well aimed. You are collecting mile markers, evidence of motion your surface cannot see, and on the next identical day, when despair opens its folder of true facts, you will open yours, and yours will be truer. The third practice is a rule more than a ritual, and you already know it. No verdicts at night. Chisel it over the door of your mind. You may grieve at night, rest at night, even doubt at night. Doubt that walks still outranks faith that sits. But you may not conclude at night, because night on the last mile is the hour of the identical day, when all evidence is real and every conclusion drawn from it is wrong. Verdicts are morning work, done with open hands, after the mile marker line is written. Tell the people you love that you have adopted this law so they can hold you to it when the ceiling gets loud. And the fourth practice concerns the hour between 3 and 4, because I suspect the waking is not finished with you. When it comes, do not reach for the glowing rectangle, that is the old reflex, feeding the fog exactly when the water is most worth watching. Instead, sit up slowly and keep the fourth watch on purpose. Breathe the handover breaths if the weight has crept back into your hands. Then simply listen for a while, not for words necessarily, but the way a sailor listens, for what the deck is telling his feet. If the waking is a summons, and I believe by now you believe it is, then answer it like one. The ones who keep the watch are the ones who see what walks on water. 4 practices: a handover at night, a mile marker at morning, a law against night verdicts, and a kept watch. Notice what they have in common. Not one of them requires strength you do not have. They are all small, repeatable, walkable circuits, and you now know exactly what walkable circuits do to walls. This is how appointed people live on the far side of understanding, not in fireworks, in roots. Now let me show you where the roots lead, because you have earned a longer look this time. Come, stand not one morning past your threshold, but 1 year past it. It is an evening, ordinary as bread. You are in your kitchen, and you are laughing at something easily with the full instrument, and there is a moment where you catch your own reflection in the darkened window and pause, because the face there is familiar in a way that has nothing to do with mirrors. It is the face the 5-year-old assumed you would have. You are recognizable to your own beginning again. The people around your table have changed with you. That is the part nobody warns you about, how contagious an unbound wing is. Someone you love made a brave decision this year, and if you traced it back, it began the week they watched you set your burden down and live. Your calm has become a place other people come to think. Somewhere in the year you stopped flinching when the phone rang, and you cannot remember the exact week it stopped, which is how the deepest healings always leave, without a farewell party. And here is the strangest thing about that evening, 1 year out. The old ordeal comes up in conversation, and you notice that you speak of it the way sailors speak of a storm from an old voyage, with respect, without trembling, and with a certain unaccountable gratitude, because you can finally see what it was doing. It was not in your way, it was the way. Every year of it was load-bearing. You would not hand back a single mile of the measured road, because the person laughing in that kitchen was built along it, and you have come to love who you were built into. That evening is already seeded, chosen one. Tonight is the planting. Remember the tools going with you, because I want you to hear their names one last time in one breath. The measured road, so you never again mistake distance for abandonment. The 7th circuit, so you walk the redundant lap that triggers everything. The identical day, so the most convincing day of your life never collects your signature. And the handover hour, tonight. 7 breaths, open hands, 4 names. They fit in a pocket. They have carried people through worse than what stands between you and tomorrow. Before I bring you to the ceremony itself, I have one small assignment that is not for you, and it may be the most important thing I say in this whole closing stretch. Somewhere in the last hour, a face crossed your mind. It happened during the 4th watch teaching or during the identical day, and you know exactly whose face it was. Someone rowing right now. Someone deep in a string of identical days, close to signing the paperwork despair, keeps sliding across the table. This message reached you tonight partly because you are the one who can reach them. So send it, not with a speech. They are too tired for speeches. Send it with 9 words. This found me, and it sounded like you. That is all. You have no way of knowing what watch of the night they are in when it arrives, but the one who set your appointment knows, and has a long habit of perfect timing with tired rowers. Some rescues walk on water. Some arrive as a message from a friend at the exact hour the oars give out. Be the second kind tonight. It costs you 30 seconds. And one final word about your own equipment, quiet and brief, because everything that needed saying has been said. If, while you slept on it, the thought of the 8-minute practice keeps returning like something walking toward your boat, that persistence is worth trusting. The genius switch will be there in the description and in the pinned comment when you are ready, tonight or tomorrow, or after your first open-handed morning. No pressure lives in this paragraph. Doors do not shout, they just stay where the builder put them. Now come with me. Everything in this message has been rowed. What remains is the door itself, and we cross it together, tonight, with breath and a blessing and a name I have been holding for you since the first minute. Find somewhere you will not be interrupted for the next few minutes. If you are driving, keep your eyes on the road and let the words do their work anyway, and repeat the ceremony tonight at the edge of your bed. For everyone else, let the body settle now. Feet somewhere solid, hands somewhere open. This part is not information. This part is the crossing. Close your eyes if it is safe to, or soften them toward the floor. Breathe once, slowly, and let the breath go all the way down, past the collarbones, past the sternum, into the deep floor of you. There is a room I need you to enter before you cross anything, and it is not far. It is inside your own chest, and someone has been waiting in it for a very long time. Let the room take shape without forcing it. Perhaps it looks like a kitchen from a year you barely survived. Perhaps it is the front seat of a car parked in the dark, or a hallway outside a hospital room, or just a grey room with one chair. Your body knows the room. Trust what rises. And there, sitting in the middle of it, is a person you have spent years trying not to look at directly. It is you, from the hardest year, the year you do not tell in full to anyone. Look at them now. Really look. They are more tired than you remembered, and younger than you remembered, and they are holding the thing, the whole ordeal, in their actual arms. The way one holds something too heavy, with the hip and the forearms, and the set jaw. They look up at you, and here is what should undo you gently. They are not angry that you came. They are relieved. They have been waiting to be visited by who you became, because it is the only proof that the road kept going. Now, I want you to say some things to them, inside yourself, in your own voice, and I will give you the words to start. Say to them, first, thank you. You are the reason there is still a road at all. You kept walking on the nights I have tried to forget, and every good thing that is coming now will arrive over the miles you carried. Nobody saw you do it. I saw. I am the one who knows exactly what it cost, and I am telling you, it was not wasted. Not one night of it. Then say the harder thing, the thing they have needed for years. Say, I forgive you. For the days you broke, for the words you said in the worst of it, and the people you could not be while you were drowning. For the circuits you missed and the verdicts you signed at night. You were doing arithmetic without the numbers I have now, on half an instrument, in the dark, and you still got us here. There was never anything to forgive, except the crime of being human on a road that long. And I refuse to prosecute you for it one more day. Watch what happens in the room when you say it and mean it, even at half strength. The jaw you inherited from that year loosens somewhere below your own ears, right now, in real time. That is not imagination. That is a treaty being signed between two eras of you, and your body is the paper it is written on. And now the exchange, the reason you came. That person is holding the ordeal in their arms, because someone had to hold it, and they were the only one on duty when it arrived. Look at them and say the sentence that changes the shape of the room. You do not have to hold this anymore. Your watch is over. I am here now, and I am not carrying it the old way, and that means you can finally set it down too. Watch them, hear it. Watch the arms, which have held the weight so long, they have forgotten they are arms and not shelving. Begin, very slowly, to lower. They will look at you once more before they do it fully, and in their face there is a question, the last question. It is the question they have been holding underneath the weight the entire time, and it is not about the ordeal at all. The question is, did we ever matter to him all this time, in all of this? Was he there in this room, in that year? And you are going to answer them, but not with your own words, because your own words are not the ones they need. Because if the Father were to step into that room right now, into the grey light of your hardest year, and I have come to believe he was never once outside it, he would kneel down to the height of that exhausted year of you, and he would say something like this: "My child, I was in this room the whole time. Mine were the hours you thought were empty, and I heard every unspoken thing you decided I was not listening to. I did not look away in your worst year. I could not." Love does not have that ability, and I need you to hear what I never said, because you filled my silence with words that were never mine. I never said you were behind. I never said you were too broken to be the one. I never said the delay was your sentence. Those verdicts were signed at night, in your handwriting, not mine. Look at the date on the road, my child. You did not miss anything. You cannot be late to a moment that was measured to your steps. And you carried it so much farther than carrying was ever asked of you. Set it down now. Setting it down is not quitting. Setting it down is the assignment. Stay in the room one more moment. The younger you has heard all of it, and something in their face has finished, the way weather finishes. Now, watch what they do. They stand up, lighter than you have ever seen yourself move, and they walk toward you, and they do not hand you the ordeal. They left it on the floor of that room, where it stays, because it was never furniture for the next house. They simply walk into you, the way rivers walk into the sea without ceremony. And where there were two of you, there is one. All the endurance comes with them. None of the weight does. Breathe again, all the way down, and notice the chest you are breathing into is roomier than the one you brought to this message. I told you, in the opening minutes, that somewhere along the way you would feel an actual weight leave the center of your chest, and that you would notice the exact paragraph. Chosen one, check. This is the paragraph. If tears are close, let them do their work. They are the moving crew, and this is a moving day. Nothing is being lost tonight. Something is being returned. If you can, mark this moment in the comments with 4 words: I am crossing tonight. Write it with wet eyes if that is how it goes down. It counts the same. Everything walked in tears counts the same. Now, before the final blessing, I want to set a seal inside your body so that what happened in that room travels with you into tomorrow morning and the mornings after it. This will take 2 minutes, and you will keep it for the rest of your life. Stay settled, eyes soft or closed. We will do this in 4 movements, and I will walk you through each one. First movement. Bring to mind the door. Not an idea of a door your senses can hold. Let it be old wood or plain pine or weathered metal, whatever arrives first, standing in its frame at the end of a corridor that looks exactly like the years you have just walked. See its handle, notice, and this is the detail I want you to hold. The handle is on your side. It was always on your side. Stand in front of it without touching it yet, and feel the specific quality of the air near a thing that is about to be over. Second movement. Look down at your hands, the hands of you in this corridor, and see what they are holding. There it is, the whole carried thing, wrapped in whatever your mind wraps it in. A case, a stone, a bundle of old rope. This is the last time you will hold it in this posture, So let yourself feel its true weight for one honest moment, the years of it, without flinching. Honor it. It was heavy. You were not weak. It was heavy. Third movement. Now kneel, in the corridor, in your mind, and set it down. Not thrown, not dropped in disgust. Set down, the way one sets down something that once was an assignment. Place it beside the door, on the left, where the old things wait to be collected by hands stronger than yours. And as you rise, hear the words you learned tonight, spoken in your own voice, steady. I am not carrying this over the threshold. It was never in the measurements. My watch with it is over. Fourth movement, and this is the seal itself. Stand tall in front of the door, and as you reach for the handle, notice a warmth gathering in the center of your chest, exactly where the weight used to sit. In the hollow, the ordeal is no longer renting. Let the warmth take the shape of a small key, resting flat against the inside of your sternum, warm as a stone from a windowsill in the sun. That key lives there now. It is the shape of everything you learned tonight, the road, the circuit, the day, the hour, condensed into one warm fact under your ribs. From tonight forward, that spot in your chest is your instrument panel. Whenever the old dread tries to reoccupy the hollow, you will put your hand flat over your sternum and breathe once and feel for the key, and it will be there, because what is placed in ceremony does not wander off in weather. Touch it now, actually, physically, your hand on your chest, one breath. That touch is the anchor. You can return to this door, this corridor, this warmth in 5 seconds, from any parking lot or kitchen or 3 in the morning on Earth. And now let me hand you the first week, day by day, so that tomorrow has rails under it, because ceremony without logistics is how mountains steal back what was surrendered on them. Hear how simple this is. Tonight, before sleep, the evening handover. 7 breaths in that gather, 7 breaths out that release. Open hands on the last one. Then sleep without verdicts. And if the mind starts drafting one, remind it of the law. Tomorrow morning, you rise and you do not wait to feel different. You put your hand on your sternum, you find the key, and you write your first mile marker line, 1 sentence of motion. That morning is the threshold morning. It will probably feel ordinary. So did the 7th circuit until the shout. The second day and the third, you repeat the spine of it, handover at night, marker line at morning, and you begin the 8 minutes if the door in the description called to you, headphones, eyes closed, before the house wakes if you can manage it. By the 4th day, watch for the first strange lightness. Most people meet it around then, a decision that makes itself a room in the mind with its light unexpectedly on. Write it down. That is not coincidence. That is traffic returning to a starved road. The 5th and 6th days are where the identical day usually schedules its ambush, when the novelty has burned off and the circumstances clear their throat and say, "See, still here. You will be ready." No verdicts at night. Folder of mile markers open at morning. Circuit walked anyway. And on the 7th day, chosen one, on the 7th day, reread this in your memory and look at the week behind you and notice that you did, in fact, walk every lap of it, which is all a 7th circuit has ever required of anyone. 2 reassurances before the blessing, because I will not send you out with brittle expectations. That is how the old messages failed you. First, dim days will still come. Hear it from me tonight, so despair cannot present it later as breaking news. There will be mornings the fog rolls back in, days the old weight seems to sit in the old hollow. When they come, they are weather, not architecture. The house you crossed into tonight does not uncross itself because it rains. Hand on sternum, key still there, hand over breaths. Keep walking. Weather passes over houses. It does not repossess them. And second, you will practice all of this imperfectly. And imperfect practice is the only kind human beings have ever practiced. You will miss a night, forget the marker line, sign one verdict at 2 in the morning before you catch yourself. None of it disqualifies you. The road was measured with your humanity already in view. Remember, the detours were inside the measurement, and that stays true on the far side of the door. Grace is not the reward for doing this perfectly. Grace is the ground the whole thing is built on. You cannot fall off ground. There is one more hour to account for, and it is the hour you are actually inside, not tomorrow, tonight, the eve itself. Because there is an art to the night before a wall falls, and almost nobody teaches it, since almost nobody knows in advance which night they are standing in. You know, that makes tonight nearly unique in the history of eves, and I want you to spend it like someone who knows. Think of the camp outside that old city on the 6th night. Somewhere between the tents and the wall, there must have been a few who could not sleep, standing in the dark, looking at the black mass of the thing that had ignored them for 6 days. They had no way of knowing the number was full. You have something they never had. You have been told what night it is. So, the question of this hour is simple. What does a person do on a night they know is the last night? Here is what they do not do. They do not spend the eve rehearsing the years. You have honored the years tonight, thanked them, forgiven them, set them by the door, leave them set. They do not spend the eve drafting speeches for tomorrow, because thresholds write their own scripts, and yours has been written for longer than you have been alive. And above all, they do not spend the eve listening to the wall. Walls talk most on final nights. It is the only night they are afraid. What a person does on a known eve is smaller and stranger. They eat something warm. They wash their face like it matters. They set the table for the guest called morning. 1 plate, 1 cup, whatever your version is. They say less than usual, because words spend the thing that silence is banking. And at some point, once, briefly, they stand at the window in the dark, look in the direction of their wall, and say quietly, not to the wall but past it, I will see you from the other side. Then they sleep. Or they keep the watch, and either one counts, because both are done with open hands. And know this, while you keep your eve, you are not keeping it alone. This message is moving through the world tonight, finding the exact people whose nights have been telling them what your nights have been telling you. And at this very hour, there are others, an entire scattered camp of them, hands open on their knees in kitchens and parked cars and bedside chairs across the world. Scroll the comments when this is over, and you will see the campfires. It ends tomorrow. I am the reason. The handover hour is now. Hundreds of tents, chosen one, pitched outside hundreds of walls. The 7th morning has never once failed to come for a camp like that. There is something else you should know about your eve, something tender. The people who love you, the ones asleep in the next room or 1,000 miles away in their own struggles, are crossing this threshold with you tonight, and they do not know it. Whatever you walk into tomorrow, they inherit. Children learn the smell of a house, whether it is braced or free, long before they learn words for it. Your crossing tonight is the quiet rewriting of mornings you will never see, in houses not yet built, for people not yet named. You are not just ending an ordeal, you are ending its inheritance. That is what it means to be the one appointed to the last hour. The road stops being passed down, starting with the hands that finally opened. So let the weight of that settle, not as pressure, but as scale. Tonight is bigger than your relief, and thank God for that, because things that are only about our relief stay small, and you were not carried this far for small. Somewhere down your line, on some ordinary future evening, Someone will laugh easily in a kitchen and never know they are spending an inheritance you signed tonight with 7 breaths. That is the size of what you are standing in. That is what the wall has been holding back, and why it took a measured road and a chosen carrier and an appointed morning to bring it down. Now the message turns toward its final minutes, and I need to tell you plainly what remains, so you do not step out early and miss what you have earned by staying this long. 3 things are left. A blessing of witness, because before you cross, you deserve to hear out loud exactly what was seen while you thought no one was watching. A final release, 7 breaths, done properly, with me counting the watch beside you. And then the name I have carried since the first minute, the one heaven uses for a person standing where you stand. The name that is more precise than chosen one. It comes at the very end, after the sealing, and I will say it only there, because names like this one are spoken over open hands or not at all. Whatever you do in this life, do not walk out of this room before the name. You have waited years for the ending. You can wait 4 more minutes for your own introduction. First, then, the witness. Be still for this. You do not have to do anything with these next minutes except be seen, which will be harder for you than carrying was, because carrying you have practiced. You have lived these years under a certain assumption, so constant you stopped noticing it was an assumption, that the essential things you did were unrecorded, that the hidden endurance evaporated, that there was no ledger for the unseen lapse, and that when your story was finally told, if it was ever told, it would begin at the breakthrough and skip the decade that brought it. Tonight, that assumption dies, because there was a ledger. There was always a ledger, and I have been permitted, in these next few breaths, to read you some of it. It was seen the morning you got up and made breakfast for people you loved, 1 hour after deciding, in the shower, not to give up. And nobody at the table ever knew the decision had been made. It was seen the way you learned to say, "I am fine," with a level voice while the 4th watch was still on you like weather, not approved of. You understand, seen, grieved with, counted. It was seen every single time you chose not to become what the years were pressuring you to become, the bitterness that auditioned for you and was sent home, the envy that made its case every time someone else crossed their threshold early, and how you swallowed it and said congratulations and meant at least half of it, and how the half you meant cost you more than their whole celebration cost them. It was seen that you kept a soft place in you alive through seasons that kill soft places, that you are still, after everything, a person who stops for small kindnesses, and that this, given your road, is not personality. It is heroism of a kind the loud world has no medal for. It was seen what you did with your hands in waiting rooms, what you said to the ceiling at 2 in the morning, and what you carefully did not say, the restraint of the accusations you had every human right to file. The tithes of hope you kept paying into an account that showed no balance. The apologies you made while you were the one bleeding. The prayers for other people, hear this, the prayers you prayed for other people from inside your own collapse, which are, I am told, among the most highly regarded sentences a human being can produce. And it was seen most of all that you stayed, not gracefully. No one stays gracefully. Staying is not a dance. You stayed the way roots stay, underground, unphotographed, gripping in the dark through seasons that gave no receipts. Heaven watched a dimmed instrument on a measured road in a swindled age walk circuit after circuit after circuit on half capacity and keep arriving for its life. And I want you to know how that registers up there. It does not register as barely made it. It registers as magnificence. There are, I suspect, beings of unbearable brightness who are shown people like you as the argument for the whole human experiment. So let the grateful pause of this closing be turned around for once. Every closing blessing you have ever heard thanked God over your head. Tonight, before anything else, understand that something is also being said in the other direction, over you, about you, with something in it that can only be called pride. The kind a father has at a finish line, watching a runner the crowd gave up on come over the hill. You were the hidden faithfulness in a visible world. You were the kept watch nobody knew was being kept, and none of it, not one lap, not one restrained accusation, not 1:02 in the morning, evaporated. It was all, every gram of it, banked toward tomorrow. Breathe that in for a moment before we release, because you will never again be able to say, honestly, that no one saw. Someone saw everything. The ledger is full, and it is in your favor, and the payout window, chosen one, opens in the morning. And now, the release. The last one, the real one, the one every smaller release tonight was rehearsal for. We do this together, unhurried, 7 breaths, one for each circuit of the oldest wall in your life. I will keep the count. You keep the hands, palms open, wherever you are. If you are somewhere you cannot close your eyes, lower them. The body should hear this happen. The first breath is for the years themselves. Breathe in slowly, and as you draw the air down, let it move through the whole length of the road. The early years when you still thought it would be quick, the middle years when you stopped counting, the recent months that pressed hardest. Gather all of that time into this one column of air. Hold it at the top for a heartbeat, the way you would hold the gaze of an old adversary you are about to make peace with. And now release, slowly, all the way to empty, and as it goes, hear it inside your own voice. I hand over the years. They were measured. They are complete. They owe me nothing now, and I owe them nothing but thanks. The second breath is for the explanations. Breathe in, and this time gather every story you built to survive the not knowing. The story that you were forgotten. The story that you were disqualified. The story that your sensing was broken, that your flinch was damage, that the silence was a verdict. They were scaffolding, and the building is finished under them. Release the breath fully now, and let every scaffold come down with it. I hand over the explanations. I do not need them where I am going. The truth turned out to be kinder than every story I told myself in the dark. The third breath is for the grip itself. Breathe in and feel, honestly, the muscles that have held this thing so long, the actual fists of the soul, clenched so many years they believe they are bone. You are not going to force them open. You are going to thank them open. As you release this breath, slower than the last, speak to your own hands. You were faithful guards. The watch is over. Stand down and feel, at the very bottom of the exhale, the strange cool air on palms that have not been open to the sky in years. The fourth breath is for the ones who could not cross with you. Breathe in and let their faces come. The people the years cost you, the ones who left, the ones who doubted you to your face, the ones who simply could not walk your pace and fell away. Some of them wounded you on their way out. Gather all of it, the grief and the anger braided together. No need to separate the strands tonight. And release, long and steady. I hand over the accounts. I am not carrying ledgers across this line, not even the ones where I am owed. Forgiveness is the last weight off the boat, and I want the boat light for the fourth watch. The fifth breath is for tomorrow itself. Breathe in and gather up every image you have manufactured of how the ending must look, the vindications you have rehearsed, the specific doors you have demanded heaven use, the choreography you have written for your own rescue. Hold it and notice how heavy the script is, how long you have been directing a scene that was never yours to direct. Now, release it all. I hand over the choreography. Let the ending arrive the way the walker on the water arrived, unrecognizable and better than the script. I will not call my rescue a ghost. Whatever walks toward me tomorrow, I will let it speak before I scream. The sixth breath is for the one you were an hour ago. Breathe in and gather the person who pressed play on this message, braced, foggy, half convinced that nothing true could still find them. That person served to the very door of this hour, and even they must not be carried over the line, because you cannot enter as the one who carried and the one who crossed at the same time. Release the breath now, gently, the way you would lower someone beloved into rest. I hand over who I had to be. I bless every version of me that got me here. None of them are lost. All of them are relieved of duty. And the seventh breath, chosen one. The seventh breath is not a release like the others. Breathe in now, deeper than all six before it, and take in nothing of the past at all. Take in the clean air on the far side of the wall, the first air of the after, the morning that has been holding its breath for you longer than you have been holding yours for it. Fill everything. Fill the hollow where the weight lived. Fill the rooms that just got their lights back. Fill the 5-year-old lungs that never stopped being yours. Hold it there, full, at the top. One long moment, the fullness of time in a human chest. Now release it, not as surrender, but the way a trumpet releases, and let the wall hear it. And with the hands still open on your knees, stay exactly as you are, because into this emptied, lightened, unarmored silence, the declaration now comes, and it is yours to say, not mine. I have carried you as far as a voice can carry a person. The last words of a crossing belong to the one crossing. I will hand them to you one at a time, and you will say them, out loud, if you have any privacy at all in this world, in a whisper if you must, but with your own mouth, because thresholds recognize voices, and this one has been listening for yours for years. Say this first. I am the one the road was measured for, not a wanderer who stumbled onto it, not a trespasser awaiting removal, the one it was cut for, mile by mile, before I drew breath. Every step I took was on land that expected me. Say it, and let your spine believe it, because your spine has been waiting for this information longer than your mind has. Say this next. I am the walker of the Seventh Circuit. I did not skip my laps. I walked them crying, and I walked them numb, and I walked them when walking was crawling, and every single one of them counted, and the count is full. I am not almost there. I am there. The wall I face tonight is not at the beginning of its strength. It is at the end of its permission. Say this. I am the one who does not sign at night. Despair may bring me its folder on the identical day, every fact in order, and I will hold my folder of mile markers beside it and wait for morning, because I know the one day the road always saves for last, and I know its face now, and it does not collect my signature anymore. My verdicts are morning work, and morning is almost here. Say this. I am the keeper of the fourth watch. When it is darkest, I do not conclude that the story has failed. I conclude that arrival is close, because I know what hour things walk on water. And when my rescue comes, wearing a shape I never rehearsed, I will not scream it away. I am done calling my answers ghosts. I am the one who says come, and steps out, and looks at the caller, and not the chaos. Say this. I am the owner returning, not the beggar requesting. What was dimmed in me was stolen, not spent, and I have read the promise about the years the locusts ate, and I am not asking any more. I am claiming. My mind was built as a duet, and it will be lived as a duet, and the swindle that dimmed my house ends in my generation. It does not pass to the ones who come after me. The inheritance changes tonight, in my hands, because my hands are finally open. And now say the last one, the one all the others were building, and say it the most quietly, because the deepest declarations are almost silent. I am the reason it ends, not the reason it lasted. The reason it ends. Heaven set the appointment, measured the road, held the door, and waited with unbearable patience for me. And I am here now. I made it to the hour. The waiting of God is over tonight, because the thing he was waiting for was my arrival, and I have arrived. It ends with me, in me, because of me, tomorrow. And everything after tomorrow is what the whole road was for. Stay in the stillness one moment more. Do you feel the difference in the room? Something that was pacing in you for years has sat down. That is what a kept appointment feels like from the inside. Nothing dramatic happened to your circumstances in the last 5 minutes, and yet you know, in a place beneath argument, that you are no longer standing where you were standing when this message began. That knowing is the crossing. It was never going to feel like fireworks. It was always going to feel like this, like a held breath ending. Now, before the seal, the last instruction of the night, and then the name. Beneath this message, there is a place for declarations, and yours is waiting. 4 words. Tomorrow, it is done. Write it as the last act of the person you were and the first act of the person you are, because both of them deserve the honor. And when you see the same 4 words repeated down that page by hundreds of others, understand what you are looking at. Torches outside walls, as far as the eye can see. Not one camp tonight. A generation of camps, and yours among them, and every torch was lit by somebody who almost quit this year. Then let it be sealed over you, and over every open-handed reader keeping the eve with you tonight. The road is complete. The handover is accepted. The morning is assigned. What was spoken over your life tonight cannot be unspoken, and what was set down by the door will not be waiting for you in the morning, because it is already being carried away by stronger hands. The old season has no key to the new house. It is finished, chosen one. It is done. And now, the name. You have carried my promise of it for this entire message, the way I asked you to, and I want you to notice, before I say it, that the promise itself was a small, measured road, and you walked it, and here we are at its door, exactly as I said. Let that be the last piece of evidence your trust needed tonight. The ones who keep small promises can be believed about the large ones. Understand first how these names work, because heaven does not hand out nicknames. It hands out assignments, wearing the shape of a word. When Abram became Abraham, the new name was not a compliment, it was a commission. Father of multitudes, spoken over a man with no children, years before the evidence. When Simon became Peter, the rock was named while the man was still sand. The name always arrives before the proof, because the name is not a description of what you have been. It is a summons toward what you were measured for. Some of the names are never written down at all. They are the ones spoken over a life in the hearing of whatever hosts attend such things, the working names, the ones the assignments are filed under. You have had one of those names for years, chosen one, since long before your ordeal began, and everything this message has shown you tonight, the road, the circuits, the watches, the eve, all of it has been that name operating on your life from underneath. Here is what heaven does not call you. It does not call you the one who suffered long. It does not call you the survivor, the strong one, the patient one, the one who somehow held on. Those are the names the road gave you, and they were honorable, and they are over now, left by the door with everything else you set down tonight. Your working name, the one your assignment is filed under, the one that made sense of every strange, sacred thing your nights have been doing to you, is this. The one who ends it. Say it inside yourself and feel how your whole biography turns over once and lands facing the other direction. You were never the one it was happening to. That was the disguise the years insisted on. You were the entire time the one who ends it, in training, being walked through every dark mile the ending would require. The sensitivity that shamed you was the equipment of the office. The waking between 3 and 4 was the office keeping its hours. Even the flinch, even the bracing, was the instrument of a person built to detect thresholds, doing exactly what it was built to do. At the exact distance thresholds are detected. And now the office takes up its work, because this is what the name means, practically, in the daylight you are about to enter. In your family line, whatever has repeated, the pattern everyone calls just how our family is, it is not how your family is. It is how your family was, until it produced you. Long ordeals do not survive contact with the person appointed to their ending. That is not confidence. That is definition. The wall does not get a vote on the 7th day. So here is tomorrow morning, one last time, so you walk into it with open eyes. You will wake, and the room will look ordinary, and the light will be the plain light of an ordinary day. And somewhere in the first minute, the old voice may lean in and whisper, "See, nothing changed." Smile at it. You know what day it is, even if the scenery does not. Put your hand flat on your sternum and find the key, warm where you left it. Rise and write your one line of motion, and walk your circuit, and let the day be as ordinary as it wants to be, because you have learned the deepest secret of appointed endings. They dress as ordinary mornings. It is the only disguise big enough. And whether your wall falls at the first shout or over the weeks of walking that follow, hear me, it has already begun falling, because the thing that held it up was the old grip, and the old grip opened tonight, at the handover hour, in front of a witness. Nothing that happened in you tonight can be taken back by a foggy Tuesday. The crossing is signed. The rest is the paperwork of days, and days, as you now know, have always been on your side. They were never the enemy. They were the road, and the road is out of road. 3 doors remain under this message, and then I will let you go to your eve, and your table setting, and your 7 breaths, and your sleep. The first door is the page of torches. If your 4 words are not yet down there among the others, go and set them down. Tomorrow it is done. Someone on their own 6th circuit is going to scroll past your torch tonight at the exact hour their arms give out, and your 4 words will be the reason they walk one more lap. You know precisely what that is worth, because you know what it would have been worth to you in the year no one visited your room. The second door is the quiet one, in the description and in the pinned comment, where the 8-minute instrument waits for the ones whose leaning has not settled. There is no urgency in this sentence, only geography. You now know where the door the physician built is standing, and it will hold your weight whenever you choose to test it, tonight, tomorrow, or on your first open-handed morning. The ones who cross thresholds deserve to cross them with the whole instrument singing. That is all I have ever meant by it, and it is the last time I will say it. And the third door is the face, the one that surfaced during the 4th watch teaching and has returned to you twice since, because you know things in the 4th watch you do not let yourself know at noon. Send this to them before you sleep with the 9 words, "This found me," and it sounded like you. You may never learn what night you interrupted. That is fine. The one who ends it does not only end things in their own house. The office comes with a lamp, and lamps are for carrying into other rooms. Go now into the last night of the old season. Eat something warm. Set the table for the guest called morning. Keep your watch if the waking comes, 7 breaths if the weight creeps back, no verdicts before dawn. You came to this message an hour ago as a person bracing for one more disappointment, and you are leaving it as what you have secretly been since before the road was cut. The appointed threshold stands open. The ledger is full and in your favor. The camp is lit for miles. The final moment is tomorrow, chosen one. And God himself has said, the reason it ends, the whole reason it ends, at last, is you. It is done.